Hello and welcome to the Vault Dwellers Podcast. You've got me as your host tonight. It's Gary, and I'm here with the boys tonight for episode 22. Hoods, how are you feeling? We're back. We're finally back.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized. I'm ready.
It's been a while, isn't it? It's been too long, actually.
It's
Mr.
been
Mac,
something like 84 years.
Oh, it feels like it. Mr. Mac, just fresh off the golf course, still smelling of grass and hitting that handicap up to minus whatever. How are you feeling?
It's Friday night, mate, and I'm feeling good. Dum, dum,
Bum,
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 bum. I'm
bum.
good. I'm absolutely fantastic. I'm glad. I'm happy that you're hosting because I know we had eyeballed a couple of episodes ago, and it was just too much messing about for the style of that episode.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy that we've managed to get you back in the reins. It's good to get a seat in the passenger side, and especially for this kind of episode. So I'm confident, happy that I'm handing the reins over to somebody responsible, and I can just sit back, drink my
Not sure
cider,
about that.
and just enjoy life. Just enjoy life.
Just watch this absolutely turn into a car crash in a minute. So what we usually do is a wee weekly shout out to Rahula Hoop. If you've not been watching on Twitch, you should get on there because he's on there doing his good stuff with all the great
does.
anime games. Can't
Yep.
remember that game. I looked
Honkai-
today and I can't even
Honkai
remember.
Star Rail, innit?
Honkai Star Rail, that's Star Rail, that's it.
That's how I pronounce it.
Sitting-
I'm not saying that's how it's actually
Aye.
pronounced, but
Honky the Wee Star. That's
Aye.
what he's been playing now.
aye, honking rails.
So if you want to go there to Rahula Hoop, he's our lawyer for the Vault Dwellers podcast, making sure that he keeps our noses clean, which is always good. So a wee shout out to Rahula Hoop, and actually just a wee shout out to everybody. You know, there's been a lot of people behind the scenes telling us and talking about to the podcast, like Ryan and stuff, and all the other people. It's just good to get feedback, and it's just that great to actually get these episodes out and people actually like taking them in and talking to us about them, because it just means the world to us that actually there's people listening. So anyway,
Indeed.
never mind all this loving and giving love out. Let's get right into the episode. So we've got a good one.
Oh, hold
for
on a wee minute here. What's the Vault Dwellers about, Gary? What's the Vault
What's
Dwellers
the Vault
about?
Dwellers about? Oh
Huh?
my god, Sean, thanks for reminding me. The Vault Dwellers is about two pals with a 10-year dream. It was on during COVID, and we just decided, you know what? Let's do a podcast. We've been talking about it for 10 years. Let's get it done. So it's us talking about whatever we want. We talk about games. We talk about movies. We talk about TV shows. We talk about life. And no even that, we got 7 or 8 episodes in, and this wee friend from America popped in.
Saved us.
Across
Fucking
the
rescued
pond.
us.
He saved us. He told us he would make the Vault Dwellers better, and do you know what? He did his job perfectly well.
Whoa.
Yep. Yep.
I'm
be
just
fair,
a small town American.
I genuinely thought that you said that instead of born during COVID, that it was porn during COVID, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where's he gone with this? Where's he gone with this? He's been host for 2 fucking minutes. Right. Anyway, can I
In the
call?
gutter. So anyway, right, so this episode, we're just decided we're going to do a wee bit of, like, because of conferences and stuff like that, well, last month actually now, but we kind of get to see what the future of gaming is going to be. So this is kind of what this episode's going to be about. So we're just going to go through kind of the highlights of what we all kind of thought, what games we liked and stuff like that. But before we get into that, we've got to get into my favourite segment, which is, what have we been playing? So I'm just going to kick it off since I'm talking anyway, so I might as well go. So my first game was Death Stranding. I tried this, you know, it's one of the games that's, people always say, you need to go for it, you need to try it, you need to try it, it's a Kojima game, blah, 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 blah. So I played it, I got maybe 5-6 hours in, and I'm just thinking to myself, do you know this, see this game? It's just Disney for me, man. It just Disney for me. I just think Kojima games are always just like this for me. It just I feel like he just gets in his own way with these kind of games. I felt like, you know, he is a good storyteller, and I've played a lot of the Metal Gears. I think I've played 3 of them or something like that, and I do enjoy the stories and stuff. But as everybody knows, he just has such these convoluted stories, and I just can't. I'm just not in a mind space for it to even get into that. I just want to right now in my gaming lifestyle. I want somebody to tell me this is what's happening. You're this guy, and you need to do this. That's what I want. I don't want to go in and then I'm like, who's this? What's that? Is this a nightmare? Is this real life? I can't be arsed with it. I just can't be arsed with it, especially knowing a game. And it's just a walking simulator, and it is. It's just a delivery walking simulator with very rare action, and that's just not the game I was feeling right now.
No, it's not. It's definitely like like Postman Pat, as we've got over here, like delivering parcels and that kind of thing. Like, you know, without obviously getting into it, it hit for me like quite a bit because it was during like COVID and that where I was playing so many games, so I was able just to like play it in the morning, play it at night, you know, deliver a couple of things, you know, and I had a lot of joy for like, all right, I've got my car here and I'm trying to build these roads and I like opening the map and plotting my journey, and not so much the story. I couldn't really tell you what the story was other than connecting the country back up again by, you know, delivering parcels and reconnecting. Mm-hmm. That's all I could really tell you about it. It has been a few years, but at the same time, like I did say to you as well, I was honest and says like I don't think it would be for you. I don't think it's for anybody or everybody. So it's I can see why it wasn't great.
Yeah. It's just always one of the things with Kojima, into everybody, the people that love him absolutely adore him, and they just tell you like, oh, you need to at least try it. And I just thought I've got PS Extra, and it just was one of the games that was on it, and I thought, you know what, I'm paying for this, so I might as well just try this game. But it just didn't land for me, unfortunately. So another game that I've been playing was Call of Duty Cold War. Played the campaign for this game. Thoroughly enjoyed it, actually. I know Call of Duties are always quite good for their 5 to 6 hour campaigns, but I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like that Cold War aesthetic where Russia versus America, like Germany's broke up after World War II, and it's the espionage and spy kind of thriller. I quite like that. Call of Duty wasn't just I'm an army man and I'm going to shoot people. Boom, 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 boom. There is obviously that in it, but I like the connections to the kind of spy aspect and stuff like that. It felt more like a James Bond, if you like, more than actually a Call of Duty. So I enjoyed that for the 6 hours. It was pretty cool. And my last game that I actually just completed last night is Ghostwire Tokyo. Really enjoyed this game. Really enjoyed this game. I'm kind of in a Japanese kind of mode right now. I'm watching quite a lot of anime and stuff like that as well. So this just kind of fit the bill where I just wanted to kind of stay in that Japanese mode. So I thought Ghostwire Tokyo again. It was on PS Extra. So I just took a plunge and went for it, and you know what? I really enjoyed it. It's like I wouldn't say it's a horror, but there's freaky elements to it. Obviously, the characters are supposed to be a bit scary and stuff like that, and kind of Japanese lore. But I wouldn't say it was a really scary game. But there was something just about this game that I felt quite compelled to play it. You know, I've been not to ruin the story, but it's kind of like your guy gets stuck in between kind of like a like purgatory kind of state, and it's about him trying to save souls. And you know, it's such a collectathon game, which I'm not usually into. And I know Ubisoft are big in their no Ubisoft. No, that is like a Ubisoft game actually, with a collectathon kind of stuff. But I'm not usually into these kind of games, but you know what? I've just felt so compelled to try to save as many souls as I could, because see when you're walking by them, they all say stuff like, "Oh, I was just trying to get to work and what happened to me" and stuff like that. And it was like, there's just something about it that I was like, I'm just going to try and collect as much of these as possible. And as I've completed it, which I think it took me about 20 hours to complete, I collected 50%, which is like 100,000 souls. Right. Which is quite a lot. Which I was quite glad that I got 50%. I was like, that's quite good. quite good going. I'm not a platinum person or anything like that, so but nice to know that I got into this game so much that I actually collected half which is quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. The side missions were just what they needed to be. It was just kind of, sometimes it was investigations, sometimes it was boss battles, and the main story itself was alright as well. It was gripping enough. It wasn't too much. It was one of the kind of, oh, there's a baddie, but you don't really see him till the end. You kind of see him, but you don't really engage with him a lot, kind of stuff, until right to the end, which I prefer. Just gives that kind of, oh, I'm nearly got you, but I'm not actually got you kind of thing. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and as I said, completed it last night, and I was glad that I completed it, and it was perfect length as well, 22 hours, perfect length for a game like that. But the only thing I will say about this game is when I played it, see the first cutscene, I was like, oh my god, this game is so ugly. This game was so ugly. I was like, this is a pure double A game, like at its finest. Like the cutscenes are like horrid in this game, but luckily enough, there's not a lot of cutscenes. But the actual gameplay itself looks pretty good, and Tokyo itself is actually really nice in it. I like how dense packed it feels, and you can no even it's not just near the street. You can actually like climb and stuff like that. And you get up to the roofs and all this kind of different stuff, so you can end up like concrete jungle kind of thing, like running across all different buildings and stuff like that. It's really good game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's been my games that I've been playing this week. Who do you played Ghostwire, don't you?
I did. I want to say I was like 12-ish hours in before I fell off because I ended up finding something else probably. I enjoyed what I played of it. Like, I loved that world. I thought the gameplay was fun. It was sometimes there is that moment where you just get into this pocket of, I don't want to play this huge thing and I don't want to play a small thing. So that double A fit right in there perfect for what I wanted at that time. And I mean, eventually I hope to go back to it, but I really enjoyed what I played of it.
Yeah, it was one of the games I think I see. I've ever watched a review, it just looks so boring. Like, I don't know what it is. I think it's that combat. I think it's because they just use their hands. It just looks so boring. But see when you actually play it, it's actually pretty fun when you're playing it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think you summed that up perfectly. It is that thing of, you have to play this. You can't just watch it. It's like what they do with VR, where they're trying to convince people, oh, VR is really cool. You don't get that sensation unless you play it. It just looks like a generic kind of thing. But once you're in that world and you're like feeling out the lore, and the side quests hit and miss, but they are very much like building into that world, which I liked. No matter what you're playing, like the spirits that you're helping throughout that are very much ones by the end of that side mission I was like, well, I'm glad I saved them and freed them. Like I felt a sense of achievement in helping those lost people, and I was like, okay, that's a cool sensation to get with a side quest of feeling like I've made a difference. And also it benefits you in two different ways of, you get credits to get things in the shop or whatever, but you also get it for upgrades as well, where it's like, okay, I'm satisfied with what these side quests are doing. And the main villain, the opening of the game is very like, whoa, this is fucked up right now. What the hell is going on? And then after that, it kind of does calm down. I wouldn't say it's straight horror either. Of like, there's horror elements, but it's very much like more of a mystery than anything. Yeah. I have to say, I know I'm not spoiling the end, but it's one of the games that quite rarely happen. When you've played a game for so long, and then at the end, it like you kind of get like a wee metaphor at the end, and I just kind of was like, the full game at the end, I was like, this is just like a metaphor for like life, and it's like, don't be afraid of death. Like, it's going to come to us all, but it's all kind of like, we just have to keep moving forward and just enjoy life until that moment. And I was like, that's nice. Like, it was a nice ending, like, to get that kind of feeling for that. As I said, I always find it quite rare to get that with games nowadays. So that was nice as well. But no, you're totally right. What have you been playing this week?
Hoodie?
I
Oh,
got
probably
up to
play.
I got up to three different things.
Oh,
I'll start with the one that ties into this podcast because you last episode recommended Jurassic Park. I'm gonna forget the entire name of this thing. For some reason, it's too long for me to remember. But is it Jurassic Park Evolution
Evolution 2,
2?
I think. Yeah,
Is that what it's called?
I
Okay.
think so.
I downloaded that after the podcast ended to try it out. Never played it. And then
Mhm.
picked it up a few nights ago, and I was like, okay, let's try this out. I've got nothing else on tap right now. Let's give this a shot. Started playing the campaign, played about 2-3 hours, really enjoyed what I did. The first hour, all of my progress got erased, so I got upset with it, and then stopped. But then I went into free mode. Very fun. I like making the park. I like having a little bit of this and that. I like designing how the layout's going to be for the park goers to see the dinosaurs. I do like the elements of, yeah, you could put it on autopilot where in the game, the dinosaurs are on the loose. So you kind of have to capture them and bring them back into the park that you're building around them, essentially. And you have the option to either put it on autopilot where a team will dispatch and go get them for you, or you can pilot the helicopter yourself, switch to your character, and then like tranquilize them and pick them up and bring them back. All that kind of stuff is way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I thought, oh yeah, I'll just put it like Sims autopilot, and half the time I was like, kind of disappointed that they got to do that and I didn't. So I took control of the helicopter most of the time, went out there to find the dinosaurs. It's not like it's a huge thing to do. It takes maybe like 1 or 2 minutes, but it's really fun. I like the idea that every dinosaur, and this is obvious that it would do that, but I don't play that many of these style of games, so it was new to me, where every dinosaur has its own like thing that it needs. I can't remember the first dinosaur that you get or its name, but it's like it really likes rocks. So like put rocks everywhere. And I'm like, oh, that's fun. Okay. But this dinosaur doesn't like rocks. So make sure that there are more plants around. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'll create its own habitat for that thing. And then they're like, well, the viewing party has to be able to see both dinosaurs. I'm like, oh, I structured this whole park poorly because now they can't see either dinosaur. It's one or the other. It's like all of those little meta things are fun to think about, and then you actually have to put effort into becoming a you know what? An architect. There we go. I was lost for the word. You have to really think like an architect in some ways, like the bare minimum version of it. But it is like, oh, this is smart. I like thinking about this. I like planning this out. It does have that Sims hook where it is like, yeah, I'll build a house and have a family. Oh, no. Now I need to expand this because we have another person in our family now. Oh, the neighbor wants to live with us. Well, I better build another house. And you get caught up in that. And like you said last episode, it was one of those things where you just lost track of time. I was 2 hours later, like, I don't know if I accomplished anything, but I now have 3 power outlets, and that's pretty cool. It's like... so yeah, I was having a lot of fun with that. I will go back to it just to play in free mode. I can't do campaign anymore because I don't want to risk losing all of my data for an hour or so, and then I'll be like, ah. But the free mode was great.
Can you do the what's that called? It's no free mode. It's the one underneath it. It's like no, it's no disaster. It's something like that. Carnage mode. Oh, I don't know what it's called. But it's the one. It's the one that's like underneath the free mode, and it's called something. It's like Carnage or something like that. See if you do them, they're like the stories of they're like the stories of like it's like the Jurassic Park 1, and it's like this is before Jurassic Park 1 was fucked up, and you get to take control and you get to do it. I would do them because
really cool.
they give you a kind of more story kind of campaigny because they kind of give you objectives and stuff like that. But
I like
it's in the vein of that movie because it's like at the end of that I think it's like now you will get your T-Rex kind of it's that kind of thing.
No, that
but
would
see,
be fun.
Everything you said. I mean, I said that the last time. I mean, I made a park and I made it so everything was at like beside my helicopter. For all the tourists were
Yep.
coming in, and as soon as I opened my park, I was like, "This does not work. Like, it
Nope.
just does not work." And I was like, "I
Nope.
have to reconstruct my entire park now that I've opened to all the public,"
Yeah.
and I had to try and like fix it all while they were already there. And it's a game that I'm dying for MrMac to get into because I can see him fucking
Oh, he
loving
would be
this game.
lost in this. I have seen
Aye,
what
would
his
be.
No Man's Sky universe looks like, and this
Aye.
is right up his alley. Because it is that
Oh,
thing
aye.
of, although I am still upset that I lost all that data, it did help me realize, oh, I had already fucked up my park. So then just going into free mode, I had the tools and memory to be like, don't do that again. So, a silver lining to that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Jurassic Park series in general. It's not my jam. But I did like the fact that this is so heavily tied into that universe and it acknowledges that universe. It doesn't feel like not to, disregard mobile games, but kind of like a cheap mobile game that they just made because they wanted to make money off of it. It really does feel like they care about this series. Almost all of the characters I can think of are in this thing, and the person who is doing Jeff Goldblum, really good job. I highly doubt it's actually Jeff Goldblum, but
do you know what? I think it is actually him. I'll need to look that up. But I'm pretty sure.
Please do.
Sure he was in the second one. So you just keep going, and I'll just look that up. And
If it is him, if it isn't him, wow! I was very impressed sitting there, being like, man, you're. I can't quite tell if you are him or not. 'Cause the back of my brain is like, well, would he sign on to do a video game? I mean, it's Jeff Goldblum. He would do crazy things. So maybe, but yeah, I really enjoyed him. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the series, but if you love those characters, they are in here. And they do help you throughout the story mode from what I played. Like, Bryce Dallas Howard's character. I think her name's Claire, maybe.
Yes.
She's kind of like still in charge of everything, so she's overseeing it. There's a new character that I don't know from the movies, and he's kind of like, I don't know, he's kind of a tight ass who's like, get this done before this time's over. And I'm like, okay, man. All right.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt's character, Owen, kind of assists you with helping understand the data around each dinosaur, which, again, I think that was a more interesting part to me of like, oh, this dinosaur likes this kind of landscape and they need this amount of water. Like, it isn't just put water down in a rock. Like, well, if there's too many rocks, they get too afraid and they get anxious. Like, you really have to think about that stuff because there is a comfortability meter, and if you don't meet that for the dinosaurs, they will like die, or worse, not worse. The dinosaurs dying is the worst. But like, the worst part of that would be the dinosaurs eating all of your people and then dying, because that's also an option. Like, shoot, I better think about this so they don't go in rampage mode, because I did do that where I put the outpost for the rangers to go in and like check how everything's going. But then I didn't pay attention to the comfortability meter, and then the rangers started dying, and the dinosaur broke out and then died. And I was like, I feel really bad right now. It's like, this was my fault. Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
By the way, it was Jeff Goldblum that did it. He did do it.
Wow. Okay. You know what? Shout out to Jeff Goldblum for being in it, because it makes it better. Like, I was sitting there being like, oh man, if this isn't Jeff Goldblum, this guy's really good, and I'm enjoying the way he's talking and saying things. I'm like, I want Jeff Goldblum to come back. He's the opening of the game.
Yeah.
The other game I was playing, I did two different ones. I started playing Undertale, which I think is a game that everyone on Earth has said forever is like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it came on PlayStation Extra or Premium, and I downloaded that. I started playing it, and I think it's a really great game. It is that thing of, I already know so much about it, and I know the kind of like, not twist, but subverting of expectation on things, and so that probably would have been more magical had I not known, like, oh, it's not going to be your traditional game. It's going to kind of screw with you in parts. If you think you should do this, guess what? The game says you shouldn't do that. And so that kind of bit of spark wasn't there for me, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I really enjoy what is there. I think the characters are funny. I think the world is interesting. It's got a great sense of humor to it, but it is that thing. I think if I had played it, day one a decade ago or whatever it came out, like, I would have been right there with everybody else. So it's more on me than anything. Right. But I enjoyed what I played of it. And then the last, Fortnite, shout out prop hunt mode. This is just a tangent. I've been playing prop hunt mode with Mrs. Mac and Ben and Carl, and it's freaking awesome, and it's so good. And it's essentially hide and seek, where you go around this map and you could turn into any object on this map, and then the person has to hunt you down. And there will be pings every 30 seconds, so you can try and pinpoint the location of the person that's hiding as a duck or a banana or a chair, and you just track them down. It is so much fun. We played several.
I've only been a witness to this, because I come in usually. I do my shop on a Sunday. I come in, and the guys are just finishing up playing it with Mrs. Mac, and they'll be sitting, and Gillian will just be ending herself as I'm sitting down to have something to eat. She's just giggling away in the corner, and then you'll hear Hoodie and Ben laughing, and then I'll turn around and look at the screen, and suddenly Ben's running across the screen, and he's like a full giant wall, like a giant massive wall. And Gillian's told me a few things as well, like that she was she had turned into a person, an animatronic kind of person, and she was moving the character about, imitating the same animatronic movements as the people, as the AI controlled ones, and Ben couldn't find her. So right at the very end, I think the timer was about to run out, and she said to Ben, she's like, "Look, Ben," and he turned around and she was moving about, and he kind of busted laughing. He's like, "Do you know what? I'll give you that. That was such a good prop to pick, and you sold it really well." So he didn't kill her. He just kind of gave her the win for that one. So I've said to her that I'd like to jump in, hopefully maybe next Friday or something. That would be a good time. A good Friday would suit us all better, but I would love to play that because it looks really fun.
Oh, we'd love to have you, because it really is. And just the three of us, it's so much fun. But then when you add in Carl and then more people, it becomes more chaotic. And the creativity, like you were talking about, of what can I turn into? Because I started out being like a cup, and I was like, can I do something else? And then I did turn into the side of the plane, and then I did turn into a ship that was in the sky, and I just sat there as if that was supposed to be a normal prop, which is 9 times the size of anything else on the ship. And surprisingly, I won 3 rounds as a giant ship, and no one noticed. One of my favorite moments is Jillian was a water tower, and she just parked in front of the entrance, and it took me forever to notice her. It just didn't register in my brain that she was a water tower just sitting in the middle of nowhere. It didn't fit whatsoever. That was the best part of it, and I'm just she's laughing.
I can imagine
at me,
she would have been laughing.
Oh, she was just essentially, you're fucking with me. You have to be able to see me at this point. I couldn't. My brain could not process that. And then by the time I found it out, I was like, oh, come on. And we're all cracking up over she's just this water tower in the middle of this western town. It's so good. It's just a blast of a mode. I can't get enough of it. Also, gives you great XP, surprisingly. We've leveled up about 10 or 12 levels, which is crazy for a creator mode. So that's, you know what? That's a good place to wrap up what I've been playing. What have you been playing, Mac?
I've been playing golf. Let's
go.
Playing golf. So I said this the last time I was on, and I'm still continued to play it. What I'll do is, I think it's going to be one of those games that I just keep continuing to play. So I think at this point, 80 hours in is where I'll kind of put a verdict
80?
in. 80. I'm not even. I'm a third through the PGA, so I've still got 80. So you can hear them. I wasn't sure if you could actually hear the sound effects. Or if,
I can't actually hear it.
Oh, you can, right? That's good. Because me and Hoodie, like, I don't know, you've not seen the WhatsApp group, but once you were introing, Hoodie wrote in the WhatsApp group, he's like, "What the fuck was that sound effect?" Because I played that sad horn when you said that you won the when you won the anti-Death Stranding. I went brr, 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 and you just kept going like natural because you couldn't hear it. And Hoodie
I had to mute myself. It got me so bad.
It was so good. Sorry. So it's like I said, I'm 80 hours in. I'm about a third the way through the PGA Tour. So I thought, this would be a good point to kind of render a verdict as if anybody was fucking interested, and then I'll just stop talking about it for now, and I'll just say I'm still playing golf. But what I would say is, if anybody is genuinely interested, I know at least one person who listens. We play and Ben as well, I suppose. So there is a few. Anyway, so I would say that it's a good game in terms of, like, if you put the PGA on. I can't figure out. Maybe you could Google it. I've played enough now that I'm just going to roll with it because I quite like it. But it seems to be as if you can only do like full or only the important holes. So you're either doing, like, every tournament, you're either doing 4 rounds or you're only playing the important holes of each round. So it's like basketball and NBA basketball games when you play, like, just say you start and then it cuts off and you come back and you're like 5 down when you were 10 ahead. Like, I'm not playing a game where I get a hole in one, then all of a sudden I come back 2 holes, 3 holes later, and I'm fucking over par. Like, I just thought, I'm just going to play every hole, and so I started it, and I'll be honest, I had to adjust it and put the difficulty way down so that I could actually enjoy it. But sometimes I'll be like scudding it, birdies galore, and then the next course I'll play, it doesn't suit my play style, and I'll be like struggling to get a win, or I'll place in the top 3. So I'm winning a lot, which is unusual for PGA. You don't really get people winning constantly. But I'm not going to increase the difficulty in that because I'm enjoying it. So, and it's still like, I have to be on my game. Like, I can't turn off or anything like that. I have to play well. So I'm just going to kind of keep it at that.
You've got enough frustrations with real life golf.
100%, 1000% actually. I would say if I was saying to, like, if I was talking to you for instance, Gary, in terms of your character, very limited in terms of like creating it, and then super limited as to what you can put them in, like, dress wise.
What one's this? Sorry, what is this?
Sorry, you're right. This is the EA one, the PGA one. The other one's not any better, if I'm honest. They're both of them have their plus and minuses. This game's much better than the is it 2K that make the other one? I can't remember. I've got it there, 2K23. I would say that the EA's one is miles better in terms of the clubs. They're really generous with the clubs, and you can do a lot of challenges to unlock different drivers and different iron sets and things. So I have a bit of affinity for the brand Cobra because that's the driver I bought. So I've done all of the challenges for that, and it's quite good. Yeah, actually quite difficult because they switch off a lot of the, like, putting assists and stuff, so they don't tell you where to aim. You just have to kind of get it. So the frustration with that is you have to actually, at the end, the last couple of challenges is like playing like 18 holes and not getting any bogeys. Like, you have to par or better every single hole. So it just teaches you a wee bit of kind of discipline as well, because it will be like 3 challenges So you can't birdie, you've got to get fairways in regulation every time, or 10 of them, something like that, and you've got to beat the AI that you're playing against. So it is quite frustrating because you have to go and then they have to go. Like, you watch them go. So it's quite slow. So it's a lot slower than if you were playing yourself. And you know, so I would say for me, it's the challenges are good because they get you XP, but they also get you in-game currency, which I spent majority of mine on improving my. You can do like boosts, like add like boosts onto your clubs, like certain clubs, like so you like boost your wedges or irons or whatever. But in terms of like clothing and stuff, like it's so expensive to like buy trainers, t-shirts, whatever else, and even like if I'm not saying I was close to putting money into it, but you can go and spend like real game money and then use the alternative credit. But you're talking about, I think, I mean, don't quote me on this, right, but I'm sure it would be like £8 to us for like a t-shirt, one t-shirt. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, geez. What the fuck is that? You know, like I want £8.
Must be $12, that's $11 probably. Like that.
I want to be like fully kitted out for that. You know, I want to be able to completely customize my character for that kind of money. You know, maybe twice, two, three times over for what it is. Like, you're not getting any benefit from it. It's just aesthetics. It's nothing. So why not just? I don't know. Maybe there's some people end up they can see they can check the numbers, and some clown is giving them a lot of money to dress their guy in the best ping Titleist gear. I don't know, but for me, a good for a golf game, maybe a good eight, you know, solid 8, no more, no less.
What would you give 2K in that same rating?
2K, I don't know, between 7 and 8, so not far behind, but I just find that it's kind of stagnant. Like, you start winning quite early, and then you don't really have like a lot of, it seems to, so with 2K you unlock like golf heads and attachments and stuff like that, and then you pay to have the attachment put on. You know what I mean? Like, and then like you unlock golf balls and you set the golf balls, and then like even if you don't lose them, even though you don't put them out of bounds, like you use them, and then so many rounds later they've ran out, and then you've got to like either refill them with the money or it's. I couldn't get it. I didn't really follow it a lot yet. It just wasn't making a lot of sense. So for me, like in terms of like the shots and all the different things you can do, and EA, like I'm playing it now. As like I said, 80 hours in, and I didn't do PGA first. I did the other mode first, the Con Tour or whatever, and you know, made my way up, qualified to the PGA. So because I'm playing like the full thing and all the events, you can do a shortened version. Because I'm playing the full version, like there's still courses that I haven't played yet. So I'm still kind of looking forward to it, but I don't, you know, as much. It's dead easy for me to put on at night and play around 2 rounds. Because I like that you've got 4. Because the first 2 is like, first one is learning the course. Second one is can you make the cut. The third one is get as best score as you can. The fourth one is trying to win it. You know what I mean? So as much as you're playing the same course 4 times, I don't, unless it's a Sunday, I don't tend to play them all back to back. So you're kind of playing them across the nights, and there has been a few that I've played where I'm like, I'm fucking not getting this. Like, I'm just withdrawing. Like, it's just fucking solid. It's just not worth it. So I just kind of pull it out. So. So again, this is the deepest I'll ever go into this. I'm happy to take any questions on DM and stuff, but you know, in terms of for a golf game, it's really, really good. I honestly would recommend it to anybody that's interested, even you, Gary, down the line. If it was really cheap and you took a kind of wee fancy or a notion for it, but it is frustrating to see still these companies taking the piss a wee bit for aesthetics, shoes and stuff like that. I don't mind like for equipment grinding a wee bit and getting better equipment, grinding a bit and unlocking, doing challenges and doing that, because
especially if that's upgrading your stats and stuff like that as well, and
exactly.
your shots and stuff. Whereas a bit of clothes isn't it?
No. I mean, I'm getting fed up seeing my wee guy just looking like plain generic, bargain bin guy. But I just don't want to spend the money.
No.
Maybe I'm happy with the skills and the ability. I could keep going and getting more things for him. But maybe now when I win more competitions, I'll start maybe saving up for like a t-shirt so that I feel a wee bit that, oh, this is my guy, like.
Yeah.
But you would expect at 8 years in that I would be full of clobber, so I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see.
It's strange in this. I know there's money to be made everywhere, and they obviously see that. But it's just I feel like surely these companies would rather people be like, oh, look, my wee guy's dressed in full night gear, especially if playing on streams and whatever else.
Yeah.
Surely that's much more incentive to actually have everybody wearing the stuff than nobody wearing it because it costs stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So this is where we put our EA bring Fight Night back, but we're going to change this segment up for just a wee bit. And
I did have another game,
Oh, sorry. Can I just throw this in here?
Go for it.
Because this goes with this.
Go.
So instead of EA bring Fight Night back, which we all want at Vault Dwellers, maybe apart from Hoodie. I don't know if you played the boxing game. But we're gonna bring back EA. Fucking where was the happy EA? Well, the days they used to play DMX and Tiger Woods games, and let you wear kilts, let you have some clobber, let you look smashing in all
I'd
your
love a
replays.
kilt. That's a good show, actually. I would love a kilt.
Come on, EA! It's a Scottish game. They used to at least have a kilt in it and some Scottish clays in it, at least. And
I would
Mr. Mac should get it for
money. I'd maybe pay money for that, by the way, if there was a kilt.
We've already paid money for a kilt before.
I know.
Tom Clancy.
Tom Clancy.
Right,
mate.
sorry, Mr. Mac. Sorry, Mr. Mac. Your next game.
Sorry, my next game. So, I'd played. I've played 2 games about the same amount, and then I go into my actual game the other game I played. So the 2 games I started was Planet of Lana or Lena. I don't know the pronunciation. I played that maybe just the first half an hour or something, just a tutorial and the starting kind of thing. It's a side scroller kind of game, indie game. It's really, really nice, really good visuals and stuff, and it kind of has a wee bit of I don't know what is that fucking bow and arrow game that Horizon. Sorry, I don't know why my mind is shite. Anyway, it has a bit of kind of Horizon vibe about it, with kind of robots, and you're trying to kind of avoid combat and stuff like that. So I'm going to stick that out. I quite enjoy. I think it's quite a short game anyway, so I'm going to stick that out and see how I got on with it. But I also started because I got them on the cheap on the Steam Deck, the first and the second one, and I've never played them before. But I've played the first 20 minutes or so of Portal as well, because I've never played the games. So I started that. So I'm not going to get into that because everybody in the granny's played that game. So I just thought I'd mention it, that I do play other games, and I'm just running about the Sway Golf Club shouting before. So between this week, I've ramped up and run credits on Star Wars. Again, me and Gary have done for this game, and so I'm going to bring Gary it tomorrow, and he's going to start it. So I don't want to say too much. I will say Hoodie was right as much as what I'll say for it. He was correcting and apologising or saying sorry every time I said I was playing the game. It's something. It's something. It's something. I don't want to say too much because Gary's about to play it, so I don't want to ruin it. But it's
what would you
enough.
give that out of 10?
Don't know, man. Week 7. A week 7.
Looking forward to it.
Aye.
I won't say anything more to it, but it was that thing of, oh man, I was so high on it, and then like by the end of it, I was like, yeah, it's a solid 7, and now I'm at it's a okay 6.5.
It definitely got away with it a wee bit. I think. I just think that, given how Fallen Order landed, I just don't see how this was the step. This was the way that they decided to go. Again, I'm not getting into it because I want Gary to play it, and he'll form his own opinion anyway, and probably be really enjoy. I mean, I loved the start. Loved the lightsaber stuff. Love all the combat and all that kind of good stuff. And then the more you play it, the enemies just doesn't really work, and the map. I don't understand. They didn't do a survey on what people like. I don't get it. It's not a Metroidvania game. It's a fucking mess. Like, the map is shit.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm sure, Gary, you'll be fine anyway. It is good. Honestly, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. Like,
I know, because you loved the other one so much as well, didn't you?
I platinumed the first one, and it's nothing to do with the fact that you're looking for the game, and I'm bringing it to you tomorrow. I fucking want to platinum this. I don't want to play anymore. That's I don't know, maybe that speaks to the same thing, I don't know, but I'm just, that's me, I'm kind of right, next, move on. So anyway, that's what I'll do on this podcast as well. We'll move on, because again, I don't want to get into it, but by me and Hoodie can talk. I messaged Ben the other night, and Ben, I was trying to play the game, and Ben sent me like fucking 20 messages, like full fucking pages and pages worth of stuff to say on it, and I'm like, oh shit, Ben, I'm still playing it. And I think he said something that happened as well, and I'm like, Ben, I'm still fucking playing it. I'm not finished, because I was right at the very end. So anyway,
that was one of those things of, if you think I'm low on it, wait until you hear what Ben has to say about it.
He's something else. He's definitely something else. So that's what I've been playing, mate. A couple of wee hits. I've been feeling one game, and I'm telling you something. I'm going to hold off, but I want your expert opinion, right? So this is the game that I want to play, right? Right. But the question is, right? They're remastering the first one, but do you play that first, given that it would then play into?
Yes.
That's fine.
If any time you feel like you're going to need to play Red Dead Redemption 2, you disregard every other game, especially a golf game, and you put Red Dead Redemption 2 in, and you play it start to finish.
but so when the remaster comes out, though, the remaster of the first one, I'm saying.
No, for that, just get 2 played right now. Get it played.
And then move in.
That's it.
Play that
finish
first.
Just finish this podcast, get it on, get it stopped. No, definitely. As I was saying, I think I said this in the last pod, like when I was playing Grand Theft Auto, like I literally just played that game in December, and like it was like, that must have been May. I was like, I could go and play Red Dead Redemption 2 again. I've never had that with a game before. No, it's so weird. It's so weird, that game.
I'm going to I put this out to the general public as well, but to be honest with you, it's moving house tomorrow, so it'd be good if yous could think of any. But so basically tomorrow, I'm going through to Gary's. We're going to do a wee bit of golf actually, but going to go to Gary's, and my dad's actually looking for my PlayStation 4, so I'm going to give him my PS4 Pro, couple of controllers and that, and then I'm going to give him some games. Now he loved, me and him used to play tennis a lot. I haven't mentioned that in the podcast. We played tennis a lot, so I'll give him tennis, and I'll give him golf. Kind of give him the 2K23 game, because the PS5 I've got. But I'm going to make sure my account's logged in. He should be able to access all my stuff and my games. But I would like, even if he's kind of getting right now on your feet, but that's 51, 52. I don't know. He's 50 something. So he's not really played a lot of games since back in the Sega days. But if you can hink at anything that you think I might have, or any of the classics, any of the stuff you think, you know what, it's simple enough, you know, to jump into then.
Any Call of Duty games?
I think I actually might have one of yours that you just gave me and said don't give me it back. So
Aye, but maybe that's I think that's simple enough to play a Call of Duty game. You know, once you start getting you'll need to get his head around the sticks and stuff like that, but that'll come.
I don't think he was too bad with him. I used to play. So I used to play San Andreas, right? And I had a save that was at the casino, and so he would use that save on the casino, and he would go and play blackjack or whatever for me, and win loads of money, and I would freak out because then he would spend it all and lose it all. But because I wanted him to make me loads of money, so I think he would be alright, but the only problem is that he does have flare-ups for arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, so it's quite heavy duty. So I think, you know, he's maybe looking for something that's light on the hands, but at the same time, I'd you know, I'm not too thingied with that. I think he'd maybe be able to play a wee bit here and there of different things, but I'm thinking there's a few things. Sorry, mate.
Do you have any of the Loco Roco games, or Little Big Planet, or Lego? Because those are always ones that I think
Lego
are so casual.
I was thinking Lego. That'd be a good kind of thing to get your head around, because it's quite basic and simple and stuff as well. So
very minimal use of hands as well. It's kind of just like one analog and X for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. I think I genuinely do think he would just spend all his days playing tennis and golf anyway. But I would like to. I appreciate your guys' suggestions. That was good. So everybody else,
FIFA as well. FIFA,
good shout.
FIFA.
FIFA's a good shout. I've got loads kicking about, so maybe package that up. I'm going to have a wee look tomorrow because I've got games here, and I've got games in this drawer behind me, and then I've got a full big crate of them as well. So anything that I can.
Do you know what you need to get your dad into? FM.
Oh,
you get him into Football Manager. He would go mental for that.
He would enjoy that. He would actually. You're right. You're right. Maybe that's a good shout actually. So anyway, I appreciate that, guys. Thanks very much.
No problem. So we're getting straight into the episode. So with the way we kind of done this, I just kind of put it out there to the boys. It was kind of like actually a month ago when the conferences started going. I was like, let's do it was actually a conference roundup. Then we kind of changed it, and we're like, do you know what? See, instead of a conference roundup, we'll just do highlights. We'll just do whatever games kind of picked our fancy. So we just kind of put a list together. We just kind of put all the ideas out. What does everybody like? What did everybody want? So we just kind of went and put this list together. So we're going to start with Ubisoft, and the first game that we seen that we liked was Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I thought this game looked fantastic, actually. You know, Avatar's one of these kind of things that I don't know really interested. I've seen the first film and I was like, you know, whatever, it's alright. I've not seen the second film. But actually seeing this game, I was like, this is maybe the gateway drug into getting me into Avatar. I just thought this gameplay, the kind of sort of Far Cry-esque
That's what I was
Avatar.
thinking. It's like Avatar, Far Cry. Like that's why. That's probably the only thing. I'm actually probably in the same boat as you. Like I could take or leave Avatar. Don't really remember. I know the gist of the film. But I don't know. It just doesn't really bother me. That whole kind of vibe. I understand people going and stealing all the resources and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, story been told a million times, but I don't know. I just don't, the aesthetic of the Avatar, the actual people. Like I don't know. I just don't. Well, it doesn't sell me, but the gameplay, I'm in on. So maybe it's a win-win for that.
I really like.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, you go ahead. You go.
I'm not going to say much on this game at all, aside from I think the world of Pandora is really cool. It's just that I don't personally like the movies. I couldn't even finish the second one, and then I'm not interested in the like. I like everything about the world except its inhabitants, from the villains or the people that live there. And then also I don't like Far Cry games, so this was like a game of okay, this one's not for me. But I'm excited to watch any one of my friends play this game. Because I think the world of Pandora is very cool. Like, I'm excited one day to go to the theme park based around the world, and that's about my only input.
Yeah, that's what actually I was going to say there. I was going to say the world is just looks fantastic. You know, that alien sort of world that we've all seen in Avatar. You know, it's like splashed with colour and it just looks beautiful. But also the thing that I liked about Far Cry Primal was that they just felt different. You know, and it was like man versus monster. But the problem with Far Cry Primal was the weapons. That was the problem. You know, it was like a club and a spear and an arrow. And I get it. It was supposed to be caveman. I get it.
You can go and take down that woolly mammoth.
Exactly. 17 spears later. You know, where I feel like this has got potential because you're going to have the guns, you're going to have the weapons. You know, you're going to have all that kind of stuff.
Do you know? I wanted to. I did actually put a note on this. Like, I don't know how like scaled up it will be, but it does look like it's much like scaled up for Far Cry. Like even like Far Cry 6's map was humongous. Like when you're flying through it and stuff. But the fact that you can ride those I don't know what the creatures are called, but let's just call them creatures. So you kind of ride them. I think it looks like you kind of tame them and then ride them, for what I can remember. Watching the trailer again as a wee refresher this week, and it looked like you covered like vast amounts of like land and jungle and stuff. But the joy of Far Cry is like when you're flying. Although Far Cry flying's a pain in the arse because you they've got loads of the anti-tank things and stuff to stop you. But my point would have been, sorry for going off on that tangent there, but you're flying in Far Cry and you're flying through the jungle and then you hit the beach bit and then you hit the city, and is there going to be enough variety in like Pandora? Because it's just jungle, like it's jungle and jungle and jungle. Like, so there comes a point where, you know, it's just the same. You know, I don't know. Maybe there is a way of changing the landscape, because it's who they said there's a big draw to it. Sorry, I've not my fan over him.
That's alright. No, I know. Actually, that's a really good point. Actually, we'll just need to kind of see and wait. I'm sure they'll have the biomes. You know, the maps that they always usually do. This is the snow place of Pandora. This is the wet place. You know, they'll have all that kind of stuff. I imagine.
I think it'll be good. It looked impressive enough. And I like Far Cry games because I like the fact that you just switch off and it's just. This. So
it's going to be weird being a massive avatar which is supposed to be like 14 foot tall versus all these wee humans that are like 6 feet tall. It's going to be. I'm sure there's going to be some fun like punting people and all that kind of stuff in this kind of game. Looking forward to that because they pesty humans coming to take what is rightfully theirs that they think.
Our jobs.
So sticking with Ubisoft, this is one that me and the Hoods put on. I'm not sure if Mr. Mac's interested, but it's Assassin's Creed Mirage. Mr. Mac's in the face of saying that.
I'll go first, right? And then you can rescue it, right? But I've wrote my first note is that it's return to form, right? I'll say that much, but at what cost, right? I don't really like that side. I loved the last game. I don't like the scale of the last game. It just so happened to be that the last one landed at a point where I was spending a lot of time watching people on Twitch, and my mind was just switching off, and I just fell in love with the combat and the tree, the skill tree, because you could you could literally like go up a branch and then be like, nah, I don't want the 3 anymore. I'll just take that one out and it'll take all the other ones out, and then I loved it. That was perfect, but it just was too big a game. So I understand like bringing it back to its grass roots, but for me, like I don't like that city backdrop. That I don't know if it's like kind of Tuscan style.
I think it's Baghdad or Kuwait.
Aye,
I think it's in Iraq, maybe.
I'm just not into that kind of like, I don't know what the word to describe, but you know what I mean. Like these wee small close, like the basically the cities for the first game or whatever. I'm not super into that, but what I will say, to put a positive spin on it as a throwback to you, is the stealth. The stealth could win me over because the stealth looked really, really good. I don't like in Assassin's Creed games where they can see you for miles and stuff, but they don't look stupid either. You know what I mean? Obviously they fall for like the thing where you throw in the ground, but I love things like that. I love when you throw something.
Hey, what's that?
Go, oh, must be nothing, and they've got a fucking arrow hanging out their head. But so I'm into that side. I'm into the stealth. I think there could be a lot of good things. I think there could be a lot of set pieces as well.
That's always been the issue with Assassin's Creed. Sorry, Hoodie. I'll just say this one, but I think that's always been the problem with Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed started and it was pure stealth. When it was the stealth, it didn't really work, but it was like a pure stealth game, and it was like you only need to stab somebody once and they'll die. And then they went to the Greek one, Odyssey, and then they went pure combat with hardly any stealth, which they're trying to find. I think they're trying to find a happy medium with this Mirage, and it's kind of they're trying to get best of both worlds, and I hope that's where they go, because I do like the combat. I actually much prefer the combat now. It did take a bit of getting used to, but I actually prefer the combat. I just feel it's more feels like a game, but I do prefer a stealth that actually feels like stealth. And I only go Hoodie. Sorry.
Well, what I think is interesting is whether it was last year or the year before, they had the Assassin's Creed anniversary, kind of like Ubisoft Forward. And in that, they announced a plethora of Assassin's Creed games. So many Assassin's Creed games. But what they kind of took point on was the fact that it's going to be a one for you, one for me deal going forward. And whether or not this is an annual thing, I don't know how that's going to work for these games releasing. Oh.
Yeah, no worries, mate. That's fine. We'll keep it going. Gary, what do you think?
I agree. I don't know if it's kind of going to be this. It's almost like a Call of Duty esque, and it's going to be different people actually making it, like different. What do you call them? Like, I don't know what you call them. Different studios. I don't know if that's the kind of way they're going to go. So it's going to be like more like this is a stealth one, and the next one might be more a combat. I don't know if that's the way they're going to go, because that's who they said. I mean, they announced like there was something ridiculous, and no, even that they just announced. There's been rumours that they're going to go and remaster Black Flag again, which I think they should have done. That should have been Skull and Bones, regardless of what Skull and Bones even is now. But that should have been that idea with Skull and Bones in the first place.
But I just don't think that would promote a good. I mean, they can this series is an annual series like for a reason. It doesn't work. Like, you don't want a Far Cry. Like, I know you don't want a Far Cry game every year. You don't want that.
I don't.
Well, I think the idea at the conference was that the one for you, one for me was for every stealth one, they're going to have an RPG. So the next one is, I believe, going to Japan, which is the game everybody has always wanted Assassin's Creed to go to, including myself, of like, finally, thank you. And I believe that one is going to be stealth. Whichever one comes after that, I am assuming is RPG. I know that they're releasing the one for mobile, which will be set in China, and that will be the first Assassin's Creed that is an RPG, but also allows you to fully customize your own assassin. Like, the main character is who you create, which will be interesting for what they're doing there. But that interests me more than let's have it return to form and stay in form. Like, if you loved Valhalla, guess what? There's another Valhalla coming for you. if you loved Altair or Ezio's story, guess what? There's another one of those coming for you after Mirage eventually. And although maybe that skips a year for somebody, it gives you more time to breathe away from that franchise if you don't like the stealth things. If you don't like the RPGs, it gives you time to breathe away from that as well. I think I've played all of them, haven't completed all of them, but the amount of time I put into Origins and beat that game and was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then Odyssey came out, and man, that did not vibe with me. I did not like Odyssey. And I just was like, okay, I just won't play it. And then when Valhalla came out, I was back in. I was like sold. I was like, yeah, I love this. This is great. I liked, I believe her name was Eivor. Well, you could play as male or female, but I went with female. And I loved that world. I loved the RPG. I think that was the thing of people complaining, oh, this isn't Assassin's Creed. I want the stealth. Well, this is the best of both worlds for everybody going forward. Yeah. Everybody gets one or the other, and you can skip. And like I said, it gives you more time to not have to sit with that series and feel kind of like suffocated by, oh, there's another one this year, which I think Call of Duty people who play Call of Duty, that's usually the only game they buy, right? Yeah. But the people who do casually play Call of Duty, it is like, oh, now I've got to get the next one in order to play with my friends. Yeah. So I like this strategy going forward, where it does change it up.
I would say, though, just as a wee counterpoint to that, like, I liked the first game, and then I get kind of fed up with it, and then I just became blind to the series, to the full series. Like, I was like, fucking nah, I'm just no that fussed. Now I know what you're saying in terms of you liked Valhalla and you get another Valhalla like game later, but like if I start like missing games on it, like I'll just start like no seeing them anymore. Like there's just so much stuff now. Like we don't need over saturation of another product. Like I just think there's so many different things that they could be doing. You know, develop a new IP. Like, why do they need to go to Japan for Assassin's Creed? Why can they should really be able to make another game and stand on its feet. Just use their engine.
Oh,
like,
sorry.
Do something.
I gotta stop you, sir. No, I've been waiting well over a decade for this Assassin's Creed Japan. We are not about to use that as the example. No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they could do something.
Do you know how long I've agreed with like say like the future stuff, and it's like get that out of Assassin's Creed games. Stop bringing me back for shitty bits of future story. I don't give a flying fuck about this person. You're just breaking my story up, and they keep doing it. Yeah, it's like stop
right there.
I don't understand it. I see like say the Valhalla thing where it was like, you have to do these like puzzles like in the sky, like you jump over this like, almost obstacle course like thing, and I'm like, I don't even understand what this is. I don't.
No, even that Valhalla did it twice, because Valhalla did it with the future, and then they also did the one that you could go into the Asia land.
Oh, that was so weird.
They did it twice.
Did you get it?
It's been a fly about my face for this entire podcast. I think I got it there.
There's like three. I think I did like 3 of those missions, and I'm like, this isn't progressing and I don't. They're all calling each other different names, and it's still my guy. I don't get this is shit. Like, just put this in the fucking bin. Fighting the same guy over and over again. I'm like, this is shit.
I just felt like the DLC like cracked in there, didn't it? That full Asia bit.
Well, I wonder how long, and I know we've gone adrift from Assassin's Creed Mirage at this point. It's just about Assassin's Creed. But I wonder how long until Ubisoft does, because from what I've played of these more recent ones, it is getting less and less of the we're in the future. How long until they listen to the audience of like, you can still call this Assassin's Creed and not have whatever these human bits are. Like, just Assassin's Creed is the thing, and whatever's in the future does not matter, as we've all unanimously agreed. None of us like it. I think the last time it was good was the Ezio trilogy. Like, Desmond was... Desmond was the last bastion of, like, Oh, you know what? I am excited to see where he goes, but I think they had the privilege of having Nolan North, and that was an interesting character, and no one following that has ever been interesting. And no matter how they've experimented with it in like first person or third person, or you're an ancestor, or you're not an ancestor, and you're using a VR headset and PlayStation 2, like all of this stuff starts to just, like you guys are saying, bog down the rest of that world and break the immersion and momentum. And I wish they would rip that stuff out altogether, because it adds nothing, literally nothing to the story of what I'm enjoying about those games. So, like, when we do get to Japan, or the one that's apparently about Salem and witches, like that. Those Assassin's Creed, I don't want to be broken from that world. Those are the worlds that I want to be immersed in. The reason I love Ghost of Tsushima is because I am immersed in that island. Like, that is where I am the entire time, and that world is beautiful. It isn't, hey, I'm in here, and then cut to modern day and everybody's on an iPhone. It's like, what's happening here? I don't like this. You're halting my experience. As far as Assassin's Creed Mirage goes, to bring it back, this is the first one that I've looked at from a trailer and been like, wow, I really want to play that. Maybe I care about the story or not. Doesn't matter. Like, the way that looks as it plays, oh, it looks so much fun to play. Like, the idea of really thinking out that kind of Arkham City style thing of Batman and terrorizing your enemies and, like, taking them out one by one and dropping them around and throwing them in a bin or something. Like, that whole system is so much fun. And the more they've improved on it, the better it's gotten. I think one of the greatest versions of, like, an Assassin's Creed style game that we've had was Origins, of like, okay, I liked being able, it did do the thing of, oh, what's that? And then you walk over there and, like Mac jokes, the guy has an arrow in his head, but it was getting closer and closer, like, oh, it feels good to think about how I'm going to take these guys out without being seen. I mean, that's the greatest joy of Hitman, right? Like, thinking, oh, if I throw this banana here, he slips on it, and then I go and, drop a moose on his head or something. Like, that planning is what makes stealth games fun to me, not just taking people out quietly. Like, how can I take them out quietly? And this game looks to be that. I also, I'm going to forget her name, but the actor they have as, like, the kind of bigger assassin character of this, she's great. She has a iconic voice. I'm sorry I'm blanking on her name, but I love her as an actor. She was in The Expanse. She's great. But yeah, as far as the game looks to play, I'm very excited.
I just hope that it's not 150 hours long. That's my only hope. Like, I don't need Assassin's Creed to be that long.
Honestly,
like, 80 max. 80 max. Like,
it's been hard to get through them.
It has been, and I hope that they take that, because I'm sure every single person says that as well. I'm sure that's unanimous, that everybody says they're so fucking long, which they are. They just don't need to be.
Yeah.
So, where do you go?
I just want to put it out there. After we get Japan, I just want to assassinate Nazis. Like, just let me go to World War II and be an assassin and take them out. I don't know if you guys ever played, I think it was called The Saboteur. And it was this game where it was in all black and white, and then you took out parts of Nazi-occupied Germany, and you killed Nazis in order to bring color back to the world. And I was like, this game's so cool. Do that again. You know what? Ignore what I'm saying, Ubisoft. Whoever made The Saboteur, remaster that. Give me that game.
It was Pandemic.
Oh, no, they gotta change their name.
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, come on.
They should have got shut down.
That's heartbreaking. Bring that game back.
That was a brilliant game. Loved it.
It really was.
So, anyway, back on Ubisoft. We're still on this train. And MrMac put this in, which was a wee bit surprised at. I didn't think he would be a fan of this one. But he put it in there anyway. So we're going to go with a bit of Prince of Persia, Lost Crown.
What surprises you that I would like it?
I've never heard you talk about Prince of Persia in my entire puff. I just never knew it was a game you were even remotely interested in.
Alright. because there's not been a Prince of Persia game for a long time, so.
I just never ever heard you saying, "Oh, I do know what I really like Sands of Time or whatever the hell they were called."
Sands of Time was brilliant. Aye, Sands of Time was good. It's like what I've been playing, but that's like my whole youth. Like I played mostly sports games, but I did have a few wee nuggies in my gaming experience. And Prince of Persia was ones I just really enjoyed. I don't know who gave me it, or if I just came across it myself. But I liked the game. The combat actually wasn't too bad either, but I liked the exploration of it. I liked the kind of, I don't know, parkour, if you want to just call it that. You know, the kind of elements of trying to get things. Puzzles, exactly. I like the puzzle kind of side of trying to like almost Lara Croft-esque, trying to clear there.
Parkour.
And I did parkour, and I did enjoy the boss fights and stuff like that as well. And I don't know how in this game they'll do, if they will do, any special effects where you, like say Sands of Time, you reverse time and all that kind of stuff. But for the game, they've switched it. That's what I'm mostly interested in. Is because they've switched it up. Instead of the normal over the shoulder third person style, it's now a side scroller, and that is probably the biggest seller for me. I think a good solid side scrolling game. I love a lot of the side scrollers. I really fell in love with Shovel Knight and those kind of games. In this seems like it'll be that kind of ilk. It does look like there's maybe going to be like it's just listening to them talking in the conference when I watched a wee bit. It did seem as if it looked like there was be different areas, almost that kind of Metroidvania type thing where you would go certain ways and whatever else. I don't really know what my patience level is for that kind of thing anymore. I play games so sporadically now that I get lost quite fucking easily. So that might play into it a wee bit, but in general, like the gist of the gameplay looked good, other than one thing, which was that the screen looks a wee bit zoomed out, compared to like how I would like it. I'd like it a lot kind of tighter for that kind of character, as because usually, like if it's quite zoomed out and you're a wee tiny character, like it's not so bad, like trying to navigate around like a Shovel Knight. But when you're a kind of bigger character and you're trying to kind of fight and combat and stuff like that, I don't know, I would just prefer it just to be a tiny wee bit closer. But I guess the camera lends itself for these boss fights and stuff like that. So I'm into it. I liked it when I watched the conference originally, and it's just one of the, I'm not going to be like, oh my god, I can't wait for this to come out, but when it comes out, I'll check it out, or I'll wait a wee while, and it'll be maybe like a wee Christmas game.
Yeah, I'm guessing it being a kind of side scroller. I'm not expecting it to be a full $70, £60. Imagine it's about a half step game, but we'll see. We'll see when it comes out.
We'll see.
I think it looks buzz, but anyway, it's just not my type of game. Prince of Persia, I did play Sands of Time when I was younger, and I enjoyed that, but I don't know, something about Prince of Persia. I mean, Prince of Persia literally became Assassin's Creed, and that's just what I prefer. But anyway, so Prince of Persia, MrMac can't wait to find that crown. So next, look, I know this is getting saturated to the point that everybody can't be bothered with it. But this game here has got the potential to be Game of the Year next year. I'm saying it now. Put it out there. 2023. Star Wars Outlaw. This game looks flipping amazing. I think this is the game that we've all been waiting for Star Wars fans. This is the Amy. How do you say her last name? Hennig.
Yeah.
This is her game that I feel like it would never go, and this is the replacement for it. I just think it just looks so good, so good. An outlaw game. You're not a Jedi. That straight away I was like, yes. Don't make me a powerful character. Make me a character that is a scoundrel. Make me that Han Solo character. That's what I want in a Star Wars, and this just looks like it's ticking all the boxes. I nearly spludged my pants when I seen the full trailer. What do you think, boys?
When I saw this trailer the first time, I was in because it was like, oh, here we go. It looked really, really good. Overall, I probably am quite interested in the game. I did have a couple of wee points. I mean, there's a lot of good things. So I'll start with a couple of them there. Like, I think the main characters get a real kind of 60s, rough kind of vibe. Look about her, almost Stranger Things. Her don't that she's got there. And I think it's I like that. I like that it's a kind of rough kind of thing. I mean, like, when you look at Jedi, especially the most recent one, and Survivor, he's this clean cut, modern looking thing. Like, I quite like that kind of look. I liked the pet the pet companion that you have. I think I know the name. Next, I think it was. I'm hoping that it's not too overplayed though. Like, I don't mind a wee pet, but just don't make me use it a lot of the time. Again, I'm with you on the Star Wars where you're not a Jedi. I mean, I think it'll feel a wee bit strange. I hope they don't over-egg the stealth. Because it seems to be there's a few areas where you go in stealth. If there's a fail state with the stealth, that could be frustrating for me. Back in the day, what's that stealth game? Splinter Cell. Aye, I love taking these games like Spider-Man, for example. That it would be beneficial inside the warehouses to stealth take out everybody. But if it doesn't work out for you, then it's all gung ho and it changes. I would like if that's the thing, but it's not a game changer if it's no. So I would like to be clear on that.
I feel like Ubisoft are quite good with their bases and stuff like that. I think they've always kind of do that with most of their games. So I do hope that they put that in this as well.
I think so. My only fear though, my one issue, I think, where cover your ears, Hoodie, but the shooting looks a wee bit like what Guardians' shooting was like dead floaty.
Okay.
And no very
How dare you?
and no very fixed. I'm hoping that you understand what I mean, Hoodie. I don't think the shooting was what the strongest point. I enjoyed the Guardians, but the shooting wasn't it. It's like this. It's like this. You know what I mean? Like where you're moving the character and I just don't think the shooting. But maybe the shooting isn't what it's all about. But I just think that it's just the shooting just wasn't quite there.
The only thing I'm going to jump on and say that is that I feel pretty confident is that it was the people that made Division that are making this. Can't remember the studio's name. Totally at my head when I've just said that now. But
why did it look like that though? In the trailer,
it's just a demo, Sean. We've still got a year to go, son. Still got a year to go. I'm surprised they showed so much, to be honest with you, with it being a 2024 release.
You know what? Let me step in here and tell you what.
Hoodie. Fucking tell her about Guardians of the Galaxy.
A 10 out of 10 game with awesome gameplay, fun movement. All right, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. Take a step back and think about what we just had to experience, Mac. That was our Star Wars for this year. All right? This cannot be worse than that.
True. I mean, again, I've not got a problem with this game. I'm really interested in it. Honestly, my last point was just going to be about the. Well, actually, I had two. My good point is that the cinematics look fucking perfect. Even as these initial ones, the cinematics look really, really good. So I think you could get quite lost in them. And as well as the story looks really interesting, but as in the dogfights as well, I think they look like the fact that it's got it looks like it's going to have quite a strong flying mechanic in the game too. So that would be a good kind of backbone for it, because I like the old Battlefront games where you would do like the dogfights and fly some of those jets and stuff, like as much as those high pitched screeching isn't maybe for everybody. Like I quite like it. I quite like how they sound and how fast everything is. So I'm quite game for that. But my only other kind of negative point was when they were driving, it looked quite floaty. Like I know they're hovercrafts, right? But I just think there needs to be a bit of feedback. Do you know what I mean? Like there's something that's power in that. Like it almost seemed like it was the movement just wasn't quite there. I think hovercrafts are quite difficult to pull off. Like they can either feel like they're just floating objects, which I understand that's what they are, but like there has to be a wee bit of like the power can't be like that all the time. Like it has to just like you need to be able to feel it moving. I don't know, like maybe it's not that important, but it just didn't look. It looked too smooth. But
it's
It's
one of those strange things of you have to use the pre-established aesthetics of something while translating that into a game. And in a movie, you can add a vibration to the camera or the way the lens warps as something moves. In this, I hope they are. I think I didn't have any negatives towards this first scene from an early on game, but it is that thing of, wow, I really love the aspect ratio of this, and I love the idea of games doing something that, people will say, oh, this game feels so cinematic. And I'm like, I understand what they're saying. It's just that it doesn't reach that level of what I think cinema is. And this was the first opening besides Order 1886, which I think is a phenomenal game, where okay, this is cinematic. I'm looking at this Star Wars and I'm feeling like I'm watching a scene from the movie or a movie in that universe, which I thought was so smart. And I believe I recently read that this is set between Empire and Jedi. So taking on that like heavy 70s, 80s style is so cool and awesome to look at in this world, because that's one of those big things that lacks from the Respawn games, both of them, where I felt like, yes, we are in Star Wars, but I sure feel like I'm in a sci-fi game more than a Star Wars game. I know there are lightsabers, I know there are stormtroopers, I know there are creatures that I understand that connect to that world, but I always felt the aesthetic of it felt very more in line with a Star Trek or just a sci-fi experience in general. And this was a moment of when she is sitting down, and I believe they're playing Sabacc, but when they're sitting down and playing that, I was like, oh man, this is so good. Because right off the bat, you're seeing containers that are just like ice boxes, because that's what they use to make those like carriers for the coins in the movie, or any of those little things that they kind of had to makeshift to work in Star Wars at that time, and bringing in that element and that vibe really that pulls that universe together for me. Because I think a lot of the modern day Star Wars stuff lacks that like enriching kind of background experience, especially in the hairstyles. I think more and more the styles of hair have gone closer to like, well, let's see how crazy we can get. And hers is like, she just came out of a salon, because that's what they had available to them at the time, and they couldn't do the insane things we do now. And I love that. I love that, like I said, rich environmental kind of thing, but also aesthetically for the characters themselves. Like the clothes look like they came from a thrift shop, because Star Wars went to thrift shops to get clothes. Like those kinds of things mattered to building that and making it so cool. So I loved that. And then the gameplay, we all know Guardians can be a give or take. It's not a perfect gameplay. I thought it was, but I also love Guardians way too much. You know what? Not way too much, just enough. So it is that thing of whether or not it feels like that. I don't think it looked in line with Guardians. I thought it looked closer to a Division. It felt like there was going to be a heft to it, which I'm excited for, because I think both Division games, did I spend hundreds of hours in? No, but I did enjoy how they played. Like I didn't have a problem with that. And if that team can just translate what they've learned there, but in a like third person solo game, that's awesome. Not Han Solo, but Solo is in single play. So I like all of the potential from what they're capable of.
Yeah.
The one thing is like what you're saying about driving and seeing those things is the fact that it's harder to translate that when no, there aren't jet engines on the back of any speeder bikes in this world or Luke's uncle's car. Like, it is hovering, so they didn't have anything visually to represent like a boost. It is like, oh, okay, interesting. So translating cars like that, because you don't see much of that in any of the games, really. I mean, like, oh my god, excuse me. In Battlefront, I think playing into what you're saying, when you're getting on like the speeder bikes on the Ewok planet, it's Endor. When you're getting on the speeder bikes on Endor in Battlefront 2, the dice game, that had that same thing that you're talking about. Like, it didn't feel or look like it was moving. Like, it feels like it's ice skating almost.
That's what it looked like on that path.
Yeah, which it sucks because, again, that's the aesthetic of Star Wars. So can you add a jet engine to a bike that didn't have that in the movie or that universe? Yeah. I don't think Lucasfilm would let them. But I understand what you're saying, and I think that's just going to be what it is, sadly, because even I feel that way looking at it, of like, or even experiencing it in a different game of, this doesn't feel great or look great because, yeah, you are missing that thing. Hopefully the way that they are using more cinematic tactics and the way that they're changing aspect ratios and using different kind of lenses even, or simulating a different kind of lens, plays into what they're able to do with making the motion feel like it's there. But yeah, from that trailer, no, I don't think they will, and it will just look and feel like it's ice skating.
Yeah, I don't think they need like a jet engine. I know what you're saying though, like, but I don't think they need to like change aesthetics. Like, there's something power in that. It's no magic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a jet, it's not an engine, it's, you know, no battery operated, but you know what I mean, like, it's operated by something. There's something power in that. So I'm not saying that it needs to like shake or anything like that, but there just has to be a wee bit of feedback, like you see in, like, say, just look at like Mandalorian and stuff when they got on like some of the bikes that they have like that. Not like, I think they could maybe run it over by the noise, like maybe the noise could, like, it just slow down. Yeah. You can maybe, there's like a skip in the noise or something, but it just looked too floaty. But again, I'm not trying to be like hypercritical or anything, but I think
but I agree.
You need to nail all the different bits, like, and I think they could just maybe fine tune that a tiny wee bit more so that it makes it worth it, like, to do that, you know.
You bring up a great point of sound design, and I think that's another thing that I have found lacking in a lot of Star Wars games. I think the closest has been Battlefront of, oh, that sounds good. Like when that blaster goes off and then clips and it steams, you're like, oh, shit, yeah, that's a good sound design. Or you hear in the distance, like, like you hear the noise of the planes. When I was playing through Survivor, not to spoil anything in Survivor, but I was very lacking in the contact sound of lightsaber to body, right? Or the way that you actually just said it perfectly. If it had a skip in the engine, like not hearing that crackle in the lightsaber and hearing like Cal's saber is broken, and as loud as I could turn up my TV, I never felt like it was a handmade lightsaber. I felt like it was made by Obi-Wan. Like, it didn't feel visceral. It didn't feel tangible, and sound design does that in ways that not everybody notices, and not even I notice half the time, but subconsciously I am, and I'm getting that feedback. So that would be a great thing for them to implement, to kind of if they can't do it visually, sound design, like making it go shit, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's smarter people than me. I'm sure somebody will figure it out. To bring it just to make sure that I'm putting more positive vibes out there, because I do have a couple of, those were a couple wee nitpicky things, but overall I'm mad keen on this game. But I think some of the like I mentioned, the characters, this kind of sidekick pet kind of character, I think that there's going to be some potential for some good beats with the droid robot sidekick that you see in the trailer as well, that she's wearing. That could be, I love any time there's a droid in Mandalorian. There's so much room for levity and humour, in terms of that, how like human things translate to like a very black and white robotic, zeros and ones type humour. I love it. Even I mean, they could make the same joke that I've heard 10 million times on these other shows, but I just think that there's a recipe there for some good points as well. So that's everything I've got for that. But I don't know, Gary, if you, I know we've kind of covered probably all the bits, but
I just covered everything. I have to say, for all the games that are on this list, and all the games that I've seen during the conference, this is the only game that I was sending to people that aren't they don't really watch conferences and stuff like that. All the games, this was the only one that I was sending to people. I was like, you need to see this trailer. This is the trailer you need to see, and I think that speaks volumes, and hopefully they deliver it. I feel like this has got a potential for me to be like a fucking 10 out of 10 for just being a Star Wars mad guy, So I just cannot wait, and I kind of hope it's like late next year, so they get all that time just to spruce this game up, even though it looks beautiful already. I just hope that they just give them time and time and time just to get this absolute perfect, because we know with the last couple of Star Wars games, with Fallen Order and Survivor, the both of them haven't come out too hot at all. Glitchy wise and stuff like that. I mean, I know it's a totally different studio, but I just hope there's no pressure to be like, you need to get a Star Wars thing out by Lucas or whoever, or Disney overlords.
Yeah. I think that is such a big part of, okay, you're now announcing it now and you're showing it off. That's awesome. Please don't, because even outside of Respawn, we had the problems with Battlefront, like so much so that it went into legality of like gambling. Like, okay, we really have to think this through. I love a lot of what Ubisoft does. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Far Cry games, but almost everything else I've played from them is like, oh, okay, I trust in what you guys do over there. I love the Assassin's Creed games. One of my favorite games of all time is Donald Duck Going Quackers. Like all of Ubisoft's kind of portfolio boosts the idea, like, oh yeah, I'm right there with you. This could be Game of the Year potential. And although, forgive me, I don't remember her or his name. Both of those characters excite me so much. My favorite droid is K2SO, and I like this idea of what if you took K2SO and just made him the coolest motherfucker you possibly could. And then she looks awesome. I like every kind of line delivery from her. I think is such a hard thing to do in a game, to make you connect with a character you haven't even played yet, just from a trailer. Where I was like, oh, I'm excited to go on the journey with her. Like, I want to see what happens and where she goes and what we're going to do. And same thing of echoing Mac of like, oh, the potential for humor here is so good. I'm like very on board with how this all feels, because that was not to keep harping on Respawn and what they've done with the Jedi series, because I really liked Fallen Order and I enjoyed a lot of that. I platinumed it, but it was that thing of it lacked a lot of levity. A lot of those characters were serious. I think Grease is great, but aside from that, there's not a lot of personality in those games. So to have this and feel like even the world had personality, I was like, oh shit, don't fuck this. This is gonna be great if you nail this.
Yeah. See what you said there. That was actually something I was going to say earlier, but these were just continue, I just didn't want to interrupt, was you can see the Rogue One inspirations on this straight away, with the characters and the droid. That was one of the things I was going to say. And that's a good thing because Rogue One was fantastic. So I hope they take all these good inspirations, get rid of all the bad, and have a fantastic game. But we'll find out next year, even though Mr. Mac doesn't really like Star Wars, you would think, with this podcast, because he hates it.
I know, I'm so sorry. I really am. I don't mean to come across negative. It's just some of the...
Back to your fucking golf.
I know. It's just points that stick out to me, I think, as you get a wee bit more curmudgeoned, I think, safeguarded and you put the walls up a wee bit when it comes to these games. I think everybody could, benefit from, holding off sometimes, but we just get so excited. And there's plenty of positives for this, for this trailer in particular, and loads of different stuff that they could do and explore, and I'm excited for it. I'm almost gutted that it isn't coming out this year.
Yep. So that was our Ubisoft highlights. So next we're going to Xbox. Boo!
Yeah, boy.
So Mr. Mac came in with this. Nobody else put this on the list, which I was surprised at, because they had a fantastic trailer. I have to say, the trailer was fantastic for it. But Mr. Mac put in Fable 4, I believe. Is it Fable or Fable 4? I don't know what they actually called it.
I'm not sure. I think it's just written as... I've just wrote it's Fable, so I genuinely don't know. So I will start by saying that I don't have a real touchstone for Fable. I've seen the I think I watched Johnny playing some of it. Johnny Vids, shout out to Johnny Vids. I watched him on Twitch playing the original one. I think it's really old, so it's quite dated. I don't have a draw to it. So what I'm trying to say is I don't have an affinity for Fable. I think it is quite a basic RPG for what I can see and for what I can remember, but I just think that trailer, I don't remember the actor's name, your man for IT Crowd.
I love him.
He's so good, and
so good.
The visuals for this and how that translated, and that he was a
Richard Iode.
That's it.
Richard Iode.
Thanks very much. He's so dry, and it translates so well. Like obviously you can see him before you hear him, but because it's just so clearly him. The actual presentation, like what they showed, the trailer that they actually showed at that conference was class. It was so strong. They kicked off with it as well. Like you just have this really nice cinematic. My problem is, how does that translate into the gameplay? Like I'm not saying it's going to be like that, but if it translates to good gameplay, then I think we could have a good game there. But we just have to wait and see. So strong cast. If he's in it, in terms of somebody, I mean, the trailer kind of gives away because she's sitting on his glasses at the end. So I don't know if that's just to say that just to kind of big up that she's the conqueror, if you like. But there did seem to be a wee bit of humour in there as well between the two of them. So we'll see how that plays out and what it looks like graphically and how it plays. But again, it's probably going to come to Game Pass, and I'll check it out. But other than that, I'm not like holding onto my seat waiting for it.
You just know there's somebody at Fable looking there at God of War Ragnarok going, oh fuck.
Oh no.
We need to live up to that giant scene in the kitchen. Oh,
it's like,
shit, here we fucking go.
Exactly. And I think besides that, it's like, oh, well, they might have God of War, but they don't have a game where a female put it on. No, they've got Horizon. Oh shit! Like what are we gonna do? I think comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. So it's just one of the things you just have to take it in isolation and see if it's a good game. But I think it's just one of those things you've got to wait and see.
And then sticking with Mac put this one on as well. we all know Matt loves a good city simulator.
I forgot I put
So
Gary's
here
name
we go.
next to it because I was just fucking
Got
about.
City Skylines. Ooh.
I won't talk too much about it because the actual like trailer doesn't give much away either. I'm a big Gary mentioned it when they were talking about the dinosaur game. That I am a big I don't know, like simulator game. Like I would love building stuff. I love creating things. If they could, so in this trailer they show like a couple of things that you can customize. You know, roads. They show like different sets, like the way you could place like multiple roads at the one time. You couldn't do that in the first one. And they also show which looks like industry, which in the first game was DLC. So my expectation for the second game, my baseline expectation is that what I bought the base game, and then over time bought loads of DLC and stuff like that. I want all of that condensed and put out as part of the set, is to be the second game with a nice polish on it, and that there's that they really kick the memory and that it can process with like a large city. I don't want to be creating this big massive thing and then the arse falls at it like it does on the PC. Like there's just so much for the game to work in or work out that everything starts kind of breaking and disappearing and all that kind of stuff. So there's a few things that I'm interested in to see, and I want to be able to like create a city and then like leave it and then go and like detail something else or create a feature somewhere else, whatever. As long as they have everything that's in the first one, parks and all that kind of stuff as well, then I'd be quite happy, even if they don't release a DLC pack for a long time. Like I'm my excitement levels for a new City Skylines games is quite high. Again, just depending on when it drops. It's actually out this year, but depending on when it drops and what's around, then I could see myself picking it up on launch. But if I pick it up, it's goodbye every other game for months. So it's just one of those things. It's just I'll have to wait and see how it plays.
Yeah. So that was City Skylines, and we'll be back with Sean at the end of the year for 95 hours into City Skylines in 1 week. So the next game was Avowed. This was made by Obsidian. I thought this looked really, really interesting. I thought it was kind of like, here's your Skyrim 1.5, I kind of thought. We all know Obsidian is really shit hot at making RPGs. Not only are they good at making RPGs, they're good at stealing Bethesda's RPGs and making them even better. So I kind of think when it looks at this, it does look a bit more, I would say, maybe cartoony feeling towards it than what Skyrim was. I would say Skyrim looked a bit more realistic, if you would like to put it that way. But I did think it looked really interesting. That it just got that, you know what, if there's not been a Skyrim out for a while, here's what we're going to put out. They obviously did great with Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds, I don't know what it was called, something like that. So it's
Outer Wilds.
no. So I think this story looks really interesting. I think the gameplay that they showed was really cool. The combat looked awesome. I think it looked like you were kind of always like a mage, but you could be other stuff as well, which I quite like, because I always feel like when you play as a mage in these kind of games, you always look so underpowered until you get to like max levels, then that's when you're overpowered. So I kind of like that, and it's kind of like, oh, here's a wee bit of mage work with a sword. I always kind of enjoy that. It's kind of that support role with your attacking kind of role. But yeah, I think this looks great, and I just, unfortunately, it's just one of the games that I look at and I go, ah, looks good, but I'll not be playing it because it's on the Xbox. What did you think, Mac?
I think, to be honest, I don't have much to say on it. I didn't even take any notes. The cartoon aesthetics, no, my thing. I think it looks. Is that not one of the ones hand shooting magic thing like that. I
think in it he always had. I think he kind of had his like magey hand up, and it was like a sword. You know, that kind of first person thing.
I know like Skyrim kind of works that way, but I don't know. Skyrim just seemed more grounded than this. This looks like it's floaty is the word I was want to use, but I don't know what the games are like. But I don't know. Just no for me. Fine if that's your thing, but I'm not too cartoony for me.
I'm surprised at that because you really liked Outer Worlds as well, didn't you? I know it's no the same. I know it's not the same, but
Outer Worlds I really enjoyed, but not for the combat. Just I like the worlds. I like the language. I like the difficult things that how you could approach stuff. I like that you could speak to people and get your way through things, and the terminals had all this extra information. Like I just like the world of it.
The stories were quite good in it. They were always the side quests were always like you would never know where you were. It was like I'm in a grey area. I don't know if it's a black and white decision anymore that I'm making, which I quite enjoyed about that.
So I think I don't. It's not for me yet, but maybe it slows down. It just looked too fast and cartoony for me.
Yeah. So the next game I picked was Clockwork Revolution. Again, this is not a game I'm going to even play because it's on Xbox, but I thought this looked awesome. I thought this was like Xbox answer to Bioshock. I thought it had a really cool aesthetic. It's that almost like steampunk aesthetic, which is just fits right into Bioshock. I thought the characters looked really cool. The bosses, well, not the bosses, but just the characters that were about. They were like big monster machine things. They just looked awesome. I just think any game that looks like Bioshock's always piques my interest, and this was just one of the games that I was just like, oh, somebody's having a wee shot here. Surprised it was Xbox, but anyway. But as I said, it's one of the games I'm going to look for afar and hope it gets a bad rating, so I don't need to feel bad about myself.
That's terrible behaviour. I'm sure we could. There's a spare Xbox always kicking about in here. I'm sure there's a way we could.
That's a way.
Get you playing on it. Hoodie, did you have a look at any of that?
I watched the Xbox conference.
All good.
Big fan.
No, that's fair. See, to be honest, I wrote down that once bitten, twice shy, right? Is my motto, and for this, you're bitten by Atomic Heart. Atomic Heart looked fucking brilliant. Looked really, really good. Same vibes. Bioshock, it's not worst fucking game I've ever played. I know it was more futuristic, more iRobot or more whatever robot fucking looking thing than it was anything else, but it was so, I don't know, just so bad. So I think that I wrote here some of the gameplay shots looked a wee bit shaky. So for a polished trailer, I think could have done a wee bit better. And the cinematics look really, really good, but it's just the same as Atomic Heart. There's no point having good cinematics and shit gameplay. But I was there when I reacted really positively when I watched the trailer the first time round. When I watched the conference, I think I was in a group chat at the time, and I think I was quite hyped at this game. So I'll keep one eye on it, and I'll try it for sure. I'll try it, but it's we'll just see. But exciting to see some progress. The games.
Time will tell. Excuse the pun. So Xbox went hard on Starfield. They actually showed Starfield. They showed Starfield, I think, in the middle of their conference, and then they had like a Starfield Direct. It was like 45 minutes long. I didn't watch I didn't watch it. I skipped just past wee bits. I was like, that's a wee bit of a ship. Like skip to this. Now I have to say this game looks really awesome. I think for me personally, I think this would be a good game for me. Some of the aspects in the game, I'm a wee bit like, it's got a lot of build. It's a lot of No Man's Sky vibes to this game, 100%. I know that makes Sean happy, but for me, it's like, you get to build this, and then you need to build this, and I know.
The shipbuilding though.
Maybe the shipbuilding, but it's like I seen bits. It was like base and stuff, and I'm like, oh no, fuck this. So that's when I start to turn off. But I think to myself, like, this game has got. I think it's a hard sell for Starfield. You know, it's already got all this. Everybody's expecting this is the next Fallout.
Aye.
This is the next Skyrim. You know, but I think sci-fi is a hard sell for a lot of people. I think a lot of people would look at us and go, "Ah, fucking space! I can't be arsed with that." You know,
Again,
it's a niche market. I think space sci-fi kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
think it can turn a lot of people off. I think my only trouble is the way that they talk about all the worlds and all that, and they're like, "Oh, it's got this many worlds and it's this populated," and I'm like, no. I've been seeing this from the start. Like, Fallout is good when Fallout's one solid map, and then they can just populate the fuck out of it with different stuff. I know, don't mean with people, but just with different things. And I feel like there's supposed to be like something ridiculous planets. Like, I don't even know. I can't remember what the number was, but it was something ridiculous.
I think
And I was just like,
something, is it no?
that's no densely populated whatsoever. That's literally just like if you AI generated like half of these planets, which No Man's Sky did. And I'm just like, this has got a potential just to be like, you go to a planet and there's fuck all on it and
Aye.
fuck all today.
That's what I wrote on it. I'm not interested in exploring vast amounts of nothingness. The customization of the ship looks really, really cool. I think just mostly because on No Man's Sky you don't really get to do that so much. You're just kind of stuck with what you've got. I know your freighter you can do a wee bit on, but your ship that you're flying about, you can't really do too much on it. I think some of the stuff that you seen people building looked really, really, really cool. You can really go quite custom with it, so I'm quite interested in that. The fact that the combat as well seems to be a multi-approach option. You know, you can do stealth, or you can do gung-ho, or you can you can pick one or two people up, or you can just fucking blow everybody up. Like, there's definitely a multitude of different options in there. I think the flying kind of looks alright, but I'd be interested to know just how it's controlled. And then the cities and stuff, like if it's like an outer worlds where you fly like into like a specific place, like or you go to like a world and like it has like 2 or 3 landing points or whatever to get into this like specific towns, like it might be more controlled that way, but I'm not into it either. The whole idea that there's all these different random planets and nothing to see or whatever, I don't need that again. So it might just be a lot of sameness, but we'll see. Chatting wise, like the fact that you can talk your way through things, I said was a positive in Outer Worlds, and it looks like you can do that on this as well. So I'm interested in that, because it's a big jump for No Man's Sky where it's just blah, 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 and that's all you get. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Until you learn the language, and then it's just subtitled. It's not. So I think that's going to be benefit. I haven't played. Sorry, I'm blanking on the game. What's that N7 thing again?
Mass Effect.
Aye, sorry, forgive me. My brain's just quite shit with fucking random things sometimes. But I hadn't played Mass Effect. I'd be worried. I'd be cautiously worried that people who have played strong story games like that would maybe feel like this was a lot inconsequential in comparison to that. So maybe that's a point to be wary of. I personally don't think this game can fully win when it comes out. There'll be a lot of eyes on it, and I think it should, if it gets its AA, it should be happy with that and just phase into the distance, man.
You know, one thing, it sounds kind of stupid, but there's one, see when I seen the combat, I was like, this doesn't really evolved too much for like Fallout 4, and I don't know why I was surprised about that, but I was kind of watching it and I was like, this just look like Bethesda, like gunplay, and sometimes Bethesda gunplay isn't the best, isn't it? Strong suit,
It's like the whole reason why VATS was created.
Exactly. As I said at the start of this game, see when we heard about it at the start and they were talking about all the lofty ambitions, I just thought to myself, we all know how Bethesda is with their games, and it was always that thing with Bethesda games. It was always like, it's glitchy, it's a Bethesda game, that's what it's like, blah 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 blah. And I think to myself, that was one map, one. This is going to be multiple maps, and they're going to need to make sure there's no glitches in this entire game, like, or no glitches, but you know what I mean.
Right.
No, a broken mess like
Yeah.
all the rest of their games have been.
Right. I think it's a massive red flag to start with, that there's just so much today in the game, like, and the fact that it's been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. Like, they're eventually going to get to a point where it's like, right, we have to put this out, which is obviously coming up. So is it we just really have to get it out there and fix it, or is it going to be, this is finely polished like a nice shiny stone, here you go? Like, depending on how it comes out the gate is going to be the benchmark. I don't think people can do a Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky all the time. It's not going to work, and the Xbox don't have the most favour at the minute. I know, Hoodie has his opinions on the idea of Game Pass and whatever else. I have the same thing as myself. I only have it at the minute because it's I have it through my phone contract, and they emailed me. Xbox emailed me and says that the price of Game Pass was going up, and I'm tied in because of my phone contract. But technically, I can cancel that part of the phone contract and just take a different like incentive or package or whatever it is, because it changes. I can change it monthly, I think. So I just cut it off. I went, oh well, fuck you, see you later. But
that's quite a surprise, and I'm surprised about that. I thought surely if you're already in a contract, you would need to
see. This is the thing. So I'm in the contract. That's my bonus item, is the Game I'll Pass Ultimate. So as soon as I get that email, I thought, nah, I'm not paying you my money. I took it out and I put something else on there, and then 3-4 days later I get another email. We are very sorry for emailing you. Basically, the gist of it was, we're sorry for emailing you. As you've got a contract with like another provider, as in EE or BT. As you're supplied by your Game Pass through them. This doesn't actually affect you, kind of thing. And I thought, well, for one, it's kind of too late now, but I'll get it back later. But for now, like, I've dipped at it, and I'll pick it up when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Because I think there's still value to be had on the random sporadic use of it, but as a whole, if you're not playing it consistently, then it's nowhere near worth it. So I like the fact that I'm paying for it through my phone contract. That's well worth it for me. But I'm paying more money for it. So you can show
fuck that.
You can show off it.
Hoodie, you got any feelings on Starfield or anything, or what you seen?
I watched the Starfield conference.
I was
the entire thing, the full thing.
Yeah.
How did you like it?
I watched it.
I was waiting for him to just say that he watched it.
Nice. So we'll be getting a full Hoodie review on Starfield when it comes out. So looking forward to that. So we're going straight into what Sony. We're going straight into what Hoodie loves, which is Sony, because
Sony party.
Xbox can take a fuck to itself. So anyway, this is what we're all waiting for, the main state. Do you know what, actually, I have to say, I rewatched every conference, so apart from Capcom's, because it was fucking dog shit. I watched Ubisoft,
Sony's
Xbox,
the only one I watched the full hang of this week.
I watched Ubisoft, Xbox, Sony and Nintendo, and I have to say, I'm not saying the Sony's was the best, that's not what I'm going to say here, but what I'm going to say is, actually, I thought Sony's was better than I remember it. Actually, see, first time I watched Sony's, I thought this is dire. This is absolute dire. And then I watched it the other day and I was like, this isn't as bad as what I remember at all. I'm not saying
Yeah.
anybody's better than everybody. Ubisoft was probably my favourite, to be honest with you. I think Ubisoft probably had a lot of like random games that I was like, do you know, I'm not really interested, but it's better than half the shit that I've probably seen everywhere else. And plus they had the Avatar, Assassin's Creed, and Star Wars, which was the games I was like, I'll get, you know.
Well, that was the thing of, I watched all the conferences while they were happening on the days they were going, and I'd seen all of them except for Capcom because there's just nothing from Capcom I like.
It was awful.
So I just didn't watch that. But watching Nintendo's Direct, the PlayStation 1, the Xbox, and the Ubisoft was by far my favorite because it felt like the golden day of E3 conferences. Like, it was quirky, it had awkward moments, it was like people standing up on stage who had never been on a stage before, and there's something that is nostalgic and wonderful about that to me. I think the second best, although there wasn't anything for me at the Xbox conference, I enjoyed watching it. Like, I had fun watching their conference. I much prefer, I know I'm probably an outlier to this, but I much prefer people being up on stage who just kind of ramble on and talk about things, and like, you're not really into this, you're not supposed to be here, but they made you, and here's a celebrity for some reason. Like, Nicolas Cage came out and it's like, oh,
that was
shit.
So funny. I forgot about that.
Nicolas Cage, what are you doing here? I love you. So, like, I think Xbox and Ubisoft nailed it this year. Like I said, there weren't that many games at Ubisoft that I cared about, and there were no games at Xbox that appealed to me as somebody. I mean, to be fair, they didn't show many games. They showed trailers and cinematics more than actual gameplay, so I have no idea what the games look like. Yeah. So there was nothing for me to judge it off of. I think Fable comes out and we see like full-on gameplay of it, that has a chance, but it wasn't something that like interests me based off a cinematic. But like the conference themselves, those were the ones that I was like, this was fun. This was E3 to me. I enjoy what we're about to talk about. I enjoyed PlayStation for the games because there are a lot more games that I personally would play because they showed me gameplay to convince me that I would. But I'm not a fan of like, you could do that for your state of plays or whatever throughout the year, but when it's like E3 time, and I know E3's dead, okay, but I think we should keep the spirit alive and have, random people walk out on stage and introduce their game, because it was a magical thing. I really loved it. So I did feel like that was lacking for me in PlayStation, and Nintendo does it too. Nintendo keeps the magic alive a little bit with people. Yeah, I gotta say, they nailed that. I don't know who thought of that, but if they ever get rid of it, I'll be devastated because it's so good. Every time they do it, I snap along with them. They got me. I don't even have a Switch, and I'm snapping along. So
I like it. There was, I think, at one point they were talking about, I don't know if it was the Princess Peach sneak trailer or sneak peek or what you want to call it, and then it was like the Luigi's Mansion remake, and it was two of them talking about it, and at the same time the both of them go.
It's so
good. Like, that was good. That was good. I enjoyed that. Aye, but anyway. There we go. We're going into Sony. We're going into the big dog in the console world right here, right now. Winning all the trophies everywhere. So, first game, Helldivers 2. Now, this game, I was surprised with how much I thought this game looked good. Yeah, I really, me and Mr. Mac really enjoyed the Helldivers one. We completed
one of the first games I streamed now.
Definitely, it was.
In your house, with no microphone.
The microphone, just no talk. Then we're talking to people, I think, on like an actual keyboard.
On chat.
On chat. So Helldivers 2, goes to first person perspective, I actually don't know if you can do a third, because see, watching the trailer, it kind of like goes back up at a certain point and you see it in third again. I'm like, I wonder if there's actually an option that you can do one or the other. I'm not 100% sure, but there you go.
There is a more recent trailer, and that one was in third person.
I thought it was third.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
There's first
if
and
it's an
third?
option, it must be.
I
Because
prefer it in
the
third.
whole new trailer was third. Yeah, I do too.
Okay, cool. I do you know, I kind of think the first person perspective would just be extra madness, but like, how mad
If
is
you
that
couldn't
going to
see who's
be?
going to drop on your head.
You don't know who's behind you. You just have to
that
turn
would
around
be
and
good.
just blast somebody.
That
That'd be a
would be
big
good.
good laugh. Maybe it'll be there's a first person mode and there's a third person mode. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, this game looked great, and I love how they lean into the Starship Trooper like cheesiness. You know, it did that.
It was good.
like,
It was good.
Hey, join the army, boy! You
Aye.
can become a demon, you know, that kind of thing.
was good.
I quite liked it. They leaned right into that. It actually made me go, I want to watch Starship Troopers after this.
This,
There you go, Hoodie.
you go.
There you go.
Well, this Starship, oh my gosh.
Should
You
I
know
go?
what? Never mind.
Should I go?
I'm not gonna. No, go. No, we're moving on.
I'm only joking. Starship.
I
Troopers.
can't.
You carry it. It's gone.
Continue on.
It's gone. It's gone.
Don't, dude. We've
It
moved on.
was a great. I think you were going to say it was a great film, Hoodie, and you're 100% right. It was great.
Do you think
gonna
that
say it's a-
those? Don't you go ahead?
Yeah, it's a great inspiration to take from.
Yeah, good.
That's what I was
good.
gonna say.
Do you think that they would, or would it even fit if they'd still done the button prompt commands for like calling stuff? You know what I mean? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Like, so if you're calling your
you said to
turret,
be.
you would do like
pads
up,
and shit like that,
down,
wasn't it?
up, down, left, right.
Aye, I think you still
do
do all
that's
that.
still, because I loved it. That was like one of the selling points. It was like putting in a cheat code for back in the day.
Aye.
You know, it could just
Aye,
appear
it
in
was
the
that-
bottom of your screen.
It was that thing that the enemies are closing in on you as well, and it was like, oh my god, I need to press this fucking up, down,
Aye,
triangle,
it's
and it's
so
feel
good.
like, fuck!
so
No,
good.
I can't wait for this game. I think it'll be a great time, and I hope we all get it so that we can all just. Actually,
Aye.
I hope this is going to end up being a PS Plus extra game. That's what I kind of hope it ends up becoming. I hope that they get it now. Like, do not actually go. Here's a wee PS Plus extra, and get that good numbers for the co-op.
It would be
I
nice.
think this game would be fantastic for that.
So immediately after seeing this trailer, because Ben and I were already like high on this PlayStation conference, but then seeing that trailer, we immediately downloaded the first game, and we got Matt, we got Carl, and we got Gage to get it as well, to all just join up on it. Wow, what a great game that is! Like, all of us have played it before, but getting back into it and like just experiencing it all over again, one of the funniest experiences I've ever had playing a game of just like Ben walks out of his pod and immediately I'm smack dab on him and killed him for my dropship. It's like, okay,
I was literally about to
this is
say,
fantastic.
who did you kill? Because I don't know.
Oh, I consistently killed Ben. I only killed Ben. Where I would just... There were moments where Ben's in the middle of a fight and he's about to die, and I just shoot him in the back of the head. Like, it's just that much fun. And we're going around doing all this, and you realize, oh, man, I haven't had a co-op game this much, like... with so much dynamic gameplay and moment-to-moment chaos that is just fun. It's not frustrating to play through. And I imagine even with Ben and I going back and forth and him trying to kill me, but he couldn't because I'm just, a god. But it is just that thing of, oh, we're having this meta competition that we shouldn't be because it's a co-op game, but that's so much fun. And now thinking, wow, we're going to get this on PS5 with a beautiful looking world with gameplay that looks even more like engaging and awesome. I like that third person over the shoulder, like, oh, we're going to get fucked in this game. This is going to be seeing the monsters more like in this huge scale and thinking, oh, that thing's gonna destroy me in like one hit is very exciting. I'm very excited to play this. I think this is easily one of my most anticipated games of the year. And it was, aside from Star Wars, this was by far the most excited I had been for a game out of any of these conferences. Of like, oh shit, this is gonna be fun.
No, I'm totally with you there. It's very seldom that a co-op game tickles my fancy, and this has been a long time, and I've been like, oh yes, like I think the last time it was Tom Clancy. Oh yes, I think the last time was Tom Clancy Division 2, and this has been one I'm thinking to myself, right, we need to get the fucking boys and hunt some bugs. I don't know what they call them in this game, but let's just say bugs for Starship Troopers. So that was Helldivers. Mac, did you go Helldivers too? Did you talk about it? Did you talk about it?
I'm good. I used to cover everything.
You're good. Cool. So the next game that I thought was good, I don't know if anybody else really liked this game or no, but I thought Phantom Blade. It looked awesome. Yeah. I thought this. I hope. It looks like it's going to be a Dark Souls game. That's my only issue. My only issue is looks like it's going that way. But I think, see the gameplay, it just looks like an anime.
Yeah.
And no on style, I don't mean graphically, but the actual like sword play, it's like that constant, like everybody's like smashing swords together. And then you see the guy and he's like on his carriage and he's fighting two guys beside him that are on two separate horses and he's just gone back and forward. And I'm like, it just looks so fast paced.
Yeah, like that actually wall running stuff in that as well.
Exactly, wall running and all that kind of stuff. It looks like you're a samurai hunting maybe demons. I don't really know what the actual things are, but it just looks so fast and kinetic, and I just think it looks really, really, really cool, really, really different for this. But I'm like, oh, is this going to be a Souls game? And that's going to put me off. But maybe if it's fast enough, maybe I'll get it.
I think it's screaming Souls like games.
I think it is as well.
The only thing I would say, you've already covered everything that I was like quite positive on. Like I like the quick movement, the wall running. I like the boss battles. The look of them. Some of the bosses look really good, really cool. I'm quite looking forward to seeing that on the big screen, big TV, and whatever else. But it's like I liked Ghost of Tsushima, right, and I liked the environment of that because of how nice and whatever else. This is the complete opposite of that, where it's like just dark. It is very Dark Souls-esque, Bloodborne almost. I'm not colourblind, right, but I can't see anything when it's like that. Nothing sticks out anymore. Like it's just muted. Just it's one big monotone mess, where there is like just Ghost was just this, you go in this field and suddenly like you turn around the corner and there's a big tree and there's just hundreds of flowers and it's red and yellows and you're like, fuck, I need to stop and get a fucking screenshot of this. Like I think there's a chance that maybe coming off the back of Ghost we could, again, comparison, Thief of Joy and all that stuff, but it's so hard not to compare it to that.
Definitely. Hoodie, did you have a wee fancy of this game or anything? Or you no interested? Don't remember it.
I don't think it's for me.
No, for you. I know I'm kind of maybe on that boat as well. It was just the looks of it. I thought this kind of looks like an anime sort of type of game, and I was like, is that tickling the fancy? I'm not sure, but I know if it's a Dark Souls, I'm right on that boat with you. We'll be going down to next game, which is a Hoodie ass game if I've ever seen one, and it is the Plucky Squire. Take it away.
Let me tell you what, man. This is on my fantasy critic, whatever it's called. It's my most anticipated game out of any game this year. I don't know if it's going to come out this year, but I'm so incredibly hyped about this. Yep. Matt had sent me this trailer last year or the year before, I'm not sure, and immediately I was hooked. I was like, oh, this is awesome, because it starts out as just kind of like a 2D experience, and then you're slowly seeing the world like evolve as the book opens and you jump out, and now you're in kind of like a Toy Story situation of you're running around what I assume is a kid's room in a 3D world, but there are puzzles that have to be solved in 2D. You could jump on the cups. The stairs are like the whole world environment being a puzzle is so cool, and transitioning between the two different 2D and 3D elements excites me so much. We all know how high I was on Tinykin last year of like, oh, this is awesome. I grew up with the Pikmin games. I loved the Pikmin games, but then when I played Tinykin, I was like, this is what I've always wanted. This was the thing that I had been waiting for, and I just didn't know it. The Plucky Squire screams that to me of like a platformer. Oh, this is the platformer I've been waiting for that I didn't realize I needed. I'm just so excited for this. The art style looks gorgeous. I love the character design. I'm over the moon for what's to come with this game. Day one, I'm gonna be there.
Yep. My first note on this was shout out to Hoodie, because I don't think I'd have seen. I don't know if you said. I think you might have sent me it, or I might have seen it in the fantasy pick first when you picked it, and that's what drew my attention to it. I don't have a bad thing to say about the trailer or anything that was shown about this. It's such good look about it. It's got that Tinykin polish to it, in terms of like how it kind of comes across, and almost everybody saves the world, like nobody saves the world. Sorry, is the name. It gives off that kind of vibe. I think it could be nothing but positives. It's not going to be like the AAA game. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's certainly a game that I'll get right away as well.
I loved it. It was going like 2D, and then it would jump out it and then go 3D again, and it go jump back in and go 2D. And I was thinking to myself, it just took me straight back to that the bit in Mario Odyssey when you're in New Donk City, and it does that, and it's like it goes the retro Superman, Super Mario, and then you go to the next bit, and then you're back through to 3D, and then you run through it, and I was like, that was one of my favourite parts of that game, that Mario game. It was so cool, and I like it. Plucky Squire's using it and go and take their own wee twists on it and stuff like that for whatever they're going to do with it, puzzles or platform and whatever.
I'm game.
So that was a Plucky Squire. Looking forward to that game. Can't wait for Hoodie to review that and give that the 20 out of 10 award for this year, or if it comes out this year.
I hope so. I don't think it will, but I hope it does.
I hope so.
They've been showing the same trailer or trailers like that for like the last 2 years, so fucking must be in the hefty development stage by now, I would say. So the next game we've got is, God knows how you even say this last bit of this. It's Tibbles of Agasaba. Maybe?
Could be.
Maybe. Let's go for that.
Towers of Agaba, or maybe, because it's might be silent.
Agaba. Yep. Maybe. Yep.
Anyway, so
I
don't have too much to say about it. Again, I think it's just the city building element caught my eye quite quickly in this game. It's some nice kind of visuals and stuff. The only thing is with the city building, it's like, here's a building you can place as opposed to here's stuff that you can build and make kind of thing. So it's a wee bit different to how I usually like it, but I did enjoy what Nino Kuni. I did enjoy the second one of that, whereas with that's just like buildings being placed in like dedicated plots and stuff like that. So I've not had that against it. Like the speaking on it I put on there, that the kind of non-English speaking kind of puts me off. I like it to be at least like a couple of words or something like that. But I just prefer it to be, like proper voice acted way, like English speaking and stuff.
I find that quite immersion breaking. See when I was playing Ghostwire Tokyo, like it starts off in Japanese, like that was the default, and I tried to play it in Japanese, and I have to say the voice acting was smashing in Japanese, like the way it sounded. But I was playing it at night, and I just kept I couldn't concentrate because I was having to read the subtitles, obviously, because I don't speak Japanese, obviously. So I had to change it to English, and the English actors they just weren't as good. But I got used to it in the end. But I was like, it does it can take me out of a game if I need to sit and read the full entire game.
Aye.
So no, I'm way you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than that, I think the landscapes looks pretty good, and the combat was the kind of winner. For me, I think everything's kind of made thinking into one. I think it was it. Were you kind of free flowing combat, and you go and you hit. You're the one hitting. It's not like turn based or anything like that, is it?
No, I don't think so. I can't even remember the combat actually. All I remember it was like he kept running through like big creatures and stuff like that, and then he was like diving off of cliffs, and he was like landing on different animals and stuff like
that.
Right. I thought for that I just wrote sort of looks Zelda-ish. That's that that kind of open worldy kind of everything's a bit strange looking.
Aye.
I just don't know. It's just that's the kind of thoughts I had for it.
I like for what Tuesday's version of me thought he was quite into the combat, so I'll trust him. I don't remember.
He's a good guy.
So I will see. He was still high over the weekend. I'm quite happy with that. I don't have much more else to say. I don't know how even if you remember the game, because it wasn't a standout, but I still put it on the list.
Oh yeah.
I know. So he's like, shite.
He's like, move on.
I'm trying to. You guys are saying things, and I'm like, oh, what is this game?
I know.
So the next game that Sean put on the list was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Now I was really surprised that Sean would even put a game like this on. I was like, what the fuck is this game? I can't even remember this. And I watched the thing 2 days ago and I couldn't even remember it. And then Sean put it on the list yesterday, and I was like, right, let's need to see this. And I watched it. I'm going, this is just anime like fucking like fetish oil like this. It's just mess, like it's like that usual anime like fighting. There's just sparks and flying and colours and splashing.
That's what I quite liked about it, is that it was just. That's all I wrote, and I wrote to Gary, and obviously like we've got to run a show on this, and we wrote all the games we liked for the conferences, and I wrote on it, but I wrote next to it that I only have like one thing to say about it, and it's basically like it looked good. Just it is just like super anime, so I don't know like how tiresome that would become, because I get quite like turned off by like some of the animated tropes just in general, like. But I think this game like visually looked really good, and the combat looked pretty decent as well in terms of like the bosses and that, and what they were kind of hitting them with. But I think from memory anyway, it was like some of the moves they were doing looked as if it was like half the thing in two, and it would only like tickle them a wee bit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like just some of the kind of things. It's very anime, but. Again, I don't have much more to say other than just it looks one for the radar if you're into your anime.
Yep. I'll say I've now looked at both of these games, and I have zero recollection of either of them from the conference. I'm looking at this one that looks like Breath of the Wild with like, Village Simulator, and I'm like, when did they show this? And the second one, I'm like, I don't believe they showed this. I think this is not real. I don't remember either of these.
It was about the 36
but shout out for putting them on here.
I just wanted a wee bit of variety.
That's fair enough.
Pad that.
I can't wait when we get Raoul on for a review of him and Sean playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Honestly,
can't wait for that. That's what we need. That's what Vault Dwellers needs.
Calling you out, Rahul.
Well, hula hoop, get your wee anime nose ready for this game. Right. So next, another one Sean put on. We're going VR. Getting VR love here in the Vault Dwellers. So we're going so we're going Crossfire Sierra Squad.
Oh, is that? I didn't realise that was VR as well. I thought it was the next one was VR. Sorry.
I know, but both of VR.
All right. Okay. I missed. Obviously, looked down when eating my lunch at the time when they fucking switched to that perspective. But so I'm not even like for these next two games. Like I wanted to kind of touch base on them because I think that the VR, especially the Crossfire Sierra Squad, I think it would have been amazing back in the day when like we were itching for like a good Rainbow Siege game, like where you go in and like try and I just wrote like that it's something that you always wanted when you were a kid because you used to like, but one person would watch that door and you would kind of break in. But I think that this looks, I don't know if it's against AI or no. If it's against AI, then obviously if it's VR, then it must, well, I don't know, because you have got a couple of VR multiplayer games, but if it's against AI, it would be quite interesting. But it looks, I've literally wrote that it looks very gun bro, if that makes sense. Like it's just very like guns.
Honestly,
like, and you're like, what the fuck's going on, man?
See when I first seen it, I was like, oh, this is going to be like as you said, Rainbow Six Tactical. I thought, oh, this is going to be quite a smart like VR game. It's all about like precision and like tactical breaches and stuff like that. And then I watched it, and it's like this guy with two Uzis, and he's just like, I was like, all right, it's no.
It's just not my thing, man. I like especially Rainbow. I like me and Gary would play the kind of games that right, you stand at that door, right, you put your camera in, right, is there another door?
It was like
door?
Simulator almost, wasn't it?
It was like right, it's like scenario kind of things where it's like, right, okay, there's a window over on the side, you could like smash that window and I could go in that door at the same time and they won't know where to look and then we'll take them out. It was like just a very planned out way of approaching different setups and stuff, but this just looks like you would fucking rocket launcher the door off its hinges and then slide in with your Desert Eagle, twin Desert Eagles or something.
You get the hostages and the terrorists at the same time.
Threat neutralise. So, all right, okay, is the president all right? Well, collateral damage. So I think it looks pretty cool in terms of, now that you mentioned it, from a VR perspective, it looks pretty like high quality compared to like what we had 2 years ago with like VR and things like that. So I think if you've got a VR set and I can see like Matt and Ben having a fucking excellent time with this kind of game, and Hoodie just peeing laughing on the voice chat. So it looks like a mad time.
It does. So the next game, I actually went back and watched this as well, and I was more interested the second time I seen this. It's Synapse. It's another VR game. I was like, oh, another shooting game. I was like, geez, the two beside each other. But this looks like basically a follow-up for Super Hot.
That's what
I thought.
No.
It looks like Super Hot, but you've got a telekinesis as well, so you can move some of the objects around the room.
Yep.
I thought that's really interesting. It just adds that different aspect to the kind of levels. It looks exact same as like a Super Hot if you're used to one of them. It's the kind of kill room, but it's a puzzle kill room. You need to kill people at the exact points or else you'll not make it. That's what it kind of looks like. And it does all looks like a fun time.
Yeah, I watched Matt beat this game. It was really fun.
Oh, very good.
Is it out already? Is it out?
Yeah, it's out already.
Games of the future, the past.
Yeah. I believe he got the platinum, but I was watching Matt play it. I really like the style that it's in, of like a black and white world with only bits of color throughout. I enjoyed I'm not playing it, so I'm watching him like screen share his experience in VR. But watching, I was like, this gunplay looks really good. I know Matt had a great time with it. I think there was a bit about like the end game of it that didn't hit with him, but for the most part, he enjoyed his time. So if you got VR, check it out. I watched Ben play it as well. He had a good time too, but he had more difficulty with the motion sickness of it than anything.
That's always a downside to VR. Big downside.
Yeah, it did look really fast paced.
I don't take it with a lot of things, but when it hit, it's like data. It's like I'm done,
Game
like
over.
for the day. Like that's me finished playing any games. But I was the same. I wrote that it's like super hot on drugs. And then I don't know if it's a persistent thing. Yeah. I don't know if it's a persistent thing. But the trailer showed that kind of person speaking, and it kind of gave me that kind of Portal feel about it. I don't know if they're consistently speaking to you.
They came and went, for the most part. You would hear them in like bigger story bits than kind of like a GLaDOS who's always echoing in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I thought it was interesting though.
From the story that I picked up on when he was playing it, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I like that this has a story. Like, generally all of the VR experiences I've played were kind of just that, experiences. This felt like a game. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, all good one.
Can I just ask, just with what I was watching both these earlier, and I was just thinking to myself, what's your feelings on VR2, Sean? Are you interested, no interested? What's your takeaway?
If I had a bigger house, I would probably maybe like want to have a look at it again. It's just not the best to like, because I've got a nice setup in here in this room, you know, in terms of all my stuff and that. I just maybe I could make like a bit of room behind me and do something, but I don't know. I just didn't use the first one enough to justify going and doing a second one. That might change when the cost comes a wee bit, you know, more reasonable. I'm so far not sold. I think a lot of the stuff looks really good on it. I like that golf walkabout game that Matt really likes.
Really?
Yeah, tell me about it. I know. There's a golf game that's out for Quest that I think's supposed to be coming to the PlayStation, and I think that they actually use a quote for one of the golfers, Rory McIlroy. They actually put it on there saying that it's as close to the real thing as you ever get. The downside is that you have to buy like an attachment, and you don't have to, but like it's like to get it to be as realistic as what I would be looking for it to be. I would want this attachment, which is basically like a golf club handle, like an actual handle that has the remote at the other end. So you actually, like, if you're in the VR headset and you're looking down and you're like you know, hinging the golf club, like it hinges as well. You twist it and you can see the back of the side. Like I've watched a couple of like big YouTube personalities like doing like a review and stuff here, and they basically were saying like it's pretty mad, like just how good it is in terms of like how you're hitting the ball. It's going exactly where you're looking for it to be and stuff. But I like the outside side of golf. I don't need more ways to play it, so I think I'll pass on the VR for those reasons: space and cost.
Now I want to just add, Mac did a great job describing this peripheral, but please, I implore you to go Google this thing. It's one of the craziest and coolest like accessories I've seen for any kind of VR thing. Of like, oh, it's exactly what it's like taking the controller, attaching it to the bottom, and then dropping it to the ground. This is so smart. This thing.
That's asking for trouble, isn't it?
Oh man,
smashing that controller right off the ground.
Oh, yeah, easy. you gotta check it out. It's pretty cool.
So, Mr. Mac got to talk about golf again. That's about the 7th time in this podcast, so that's not bad. Maybe with 4 games left to go, we'll get another golf reference in here somewhere.
Another 18 holes.
So, Hoodie, you added this game, and I thought the first person that added this game was going to get called a furry. So, Hoodie, you're a furry. Because Dragon's Dogma 2 lets you play as a lion. Of all things, you want to play as a lion, man. Dragons.
Let me tell you what. How
There you
dare
go. Go for it.
How dare you boil this down to an oversimplification? Dragon's Dogma is one of the greatest RPGs ever made. All right?
Okay.
It's fantastic. If you don't believe me, ask Gage. He's on Twitter and he's at Simply Sassy, and he'll tell you that this is the greatest game ever made. And you know what? I wouldn't argue him if you wanted to believe it, because I'd believe it if you felt that way, because it's great. And the fact that we're getting a sequel, but like a decade later, is pretty remarkable. I'm very excited for this game. It looks great. I want this game to just be more Dragon's Dogma with added bonuses, because there was nothing wrong with the first one, in my opinion. I thought it was awesome. I love that world. I love the combat. It does kind of the Shadow of the Colossus thing, where you have to hold on to these creatures that you're trying to take down. In the first one of the first fights is a oh my god, I never know what to call it. If it's like the dragon / lion thing / snake thing.
Yeah.
What is that called? A griffin? A griffin? A griffin? A Peter Griffin?
I don't know.
So you have to fight a Peter Griffin in the first one, and getting into that, I had no idea what I was going to play. And then immediately it's like, oh, latch on. I'm like, what is that? What do you mean? I latch on, it starts taking off into the air, and I'm flying up there, and I'm like hacking away at this thing's tail, and I'm like, what is going on? This is so cool. Now take that and add in even bigger creatures to essentially be the Witcher Torts of like, who can I take down? I'm so excited. It was great. The only negative, I wish they would add in multiplayer. They have this system where you have rooks, and essentially they join your world, and it's kind of like an avatar of your friend's character, but it's not actually your friend. I wish that was a thing they would implement, because it would be great to just squat up with Gage and run around this world. But aside from that, it's Dragon's Dogma, man. I'm just excited that we get another one.
Yeah, I loved the first one for that. I think it was. I don't know if me and Sean were playing it at the same time or Sean played it after me. I can't really remember, but I remember like going like, I think I played it after Sean actually. And I was like, oh, I'm getting. I could hire Sean's Rook and stuff like that. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, it's no, you're not playing with his character, but you're playing with his companion. And I was like, that's good enough for me, because obviously you can make your character wear your companion and yourself. You can make wear different equipment and whatever else, and give them weapons and stuff like that. So it was actually pretty cool that you could hire like your own friends. It made it feel like it was your friend, but not really.
So does that technically mean that I've played that game then? Because I only played like the first wee bit of that game.
Aye.
Who's my character? I'm playing it not right now, but I've bought it on the Steam Deck. So apparently it runs really, really well on that. So I bought it really on the cheap, and I'll get round to playing it, but it's just too much to play.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I never completed it though. Dragon's Dogma 1. It was quite a long game for what I remember. Yep. I think the only negative I take away from this Dragon Dogma is I see the way it looked. I was like, this just looks like it's the same game, but it's like 10 years apart. Like, and I don't mean that. I mean actual gameplay, like the way that the fights and stuff are. And I'm like, oh, I'm not sure that this is gonna be what I remember it being like, or it should be better than it's going to feel like now.
I don't know. Look at that again. My first note was free flowing graphics. I don't know what that means then. If that was how you.
No, I think the graphics were on it. It was just the gameplay. You know, it's got that very looks like stoic Japanese kind of moving characters. You know, and they look like they'll be solid blocky men. I just always feel like Japanese games are always like that, like Soul games and stuff like that. I always feel like they're solid wee units that kind of move like a tank fucking sometimes. But I'll get a go, because Capcom are on this resurgence that nobody can deny that it's always positive so far. Yeah. So it's definitely a game that I like and like the look of. I mean, and obviously we can be a furry and hopefully fuck some characters from a lion man.
Shadow Zootopia, one of my favorite movies of all time.
There we go. There we go. Hoodie dresses up as a cat on the weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the next game was Teardown. I thought this would tickle Sean's fancy a wee bit because it looks like a almost Minecraft sequel that Mohang don't want to make. Do you know it takes the best part of Minecraft and it's like, do you know what do people like about Minecraft? They like building, right? What else do they like doing? Destroying. That's what we like to do. We like to destroy, and that's what this game's all about. It's about destroying. I don't actually know what the game is about apart from destroying stuff. It looked like maybe a puzzle game. I'm not 100% sure.
I thought it looked a wee bit kind of like an aggressive, like human fall flat type,
Maybe
you know, thing, like where it's like scenarios, like, you know what I mean? Like, so you'd be like at the boathouse, like go and do this, go and destroy this, go and go and find this document, and then it'd be like the dam, you know what I mean, like the next scenario, and then you would go and do that. Like I think the fact that it looked good. I didn't really write a lot of notes on it. I just wrote that it looked quite interesting. It's a really good concept, and the fact that you can destroy like pretty much, looks like it's pretty much everything that you can destroy. That I think there'd be loads of like creative ways, but see, once you do one level, like it's just, I don't know if it's something that I'm not in the destroying side. I'm just no. Maybe on the cheap, but I'm not saying it doesn't look good, but it's just.
Mrs. Mac actually sent me a wee gift the other day, and it was like when you see somebody at your house with when you see somebody in Minecraft with dynamite at your house, and it's like a wee guy looking dead sus, and she's like, "This is you," and I'm like, "100% that's me."
100%. So I think there's loads of different things you could do. I think, and I think maybe it'd be better, like as I don't know, it's like a multiplayer type thing, but.
That's what I was thinking.
That's
what I was thinking. I thought multiplayer would maybe make that game fun, especially with somebody like Hoodie. You know,
man,
it's just a madman.
Yep,
Eyes of madness.
Energy. Yep, 100%.
If you've ever played a game with me, you understand what they're saying.
100%. 100%. I thought that we were safe playing like GTA online with him, and then he shows up in this tiny tank that can't be destroyed. Like, that's the kind of energy that he brings.
It's invincible, dude. It's an invincible tank.
It's like an invincible clown tank. It's so small.
It's so good.
It's so funny. Man.
Oh, don't worry about it. So our second last game, Hoodie added this. I was surprised because I wasn't getting great feelings for this game, but Hoodie's championing this game. And this game is fair. This game is Fair Games.
But with a dollar sign for the S, which I think is one of the worst marketing tactics anyone has ever used. Of like, I can't stand when people do that where they change one letter, because this isn't the first person to do this. All right, other movies and TV shows have done this, and I cannot stand it. You know what? I think Kesha even did that for a while. I like Kesha, by the way.
Yeah, Kesha
had like a dollar sign for the S in Kesha. I was like, come on, man. I can't do this. It's like the fan 4 stick thing where it's like, don't make the A in your name a 4. Stop doing this. Yeah. I don't like it. Rant over. This game does excite me because I really love Payday. I think Payday is a super fun game when you get a great group of friends together. Yeah. And this just looks like, hey, here's a more insane budget, and look, it's way faster pace and has a very Insomniac vibe to it as well. Of, we've got wacky weapons and we're going to do something stylish with this. And I'm like, sign me up. I'm all for it.
That was my note. Full of style, and that's what it does look like. Just that kind of, like big chains, like, like right in with other kind of fashion type things, rather than like military, heist and bank robbery and stuff. Like you're in there, and it's that kind of Fortnite look about it.
I wrote it's Watch Dogs has babies with Payday.
Aye,
that's what I wrote.
Yeah,
perfect.
That's a good shout too.
Perfect. Yeah. I don't literally have anything else to add to it, but if knowing the other, so like I would I'm not overly interested in it, but see if like you and Ben were to get it Hoodie, then I could see myself picking it up.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say because it's similar to the Xbox thing of it was a cinematic, so
right.
I don't have anything to judge on this. I just like the vibe of it. I'm like, yeah, that seems like a game I would like, but eventually when they show gameplay, that'll make or break it for me. But yeah, this seems like a hey, yeah, Matt, Ben, you want to play? You want to play this thing? Let's go.
Let's go. So let's go indeed. So last but not least, here we go. Hoodie's favourite, Spider-Man 2.
I'm gonna tell you what, man. As somebody who is currently on their 9th replay of the first one, and
that's metal.
I plan to do my 6th replay of Miles Morales afterwards.
Good.
I love Insomniac. They're my favorite studio. They're my favorite developer. I love every. Trying to think. No, I've loved every game they've made. Even Fuse, I had a fun time with, and I simp them very hard. I'm a big fan of Insomniac, and we all know Spider-Man and what he means to me. The gameplay that they showed here for this conference, I'm not even. Well, you know what? I will bring in the story trailer that they actually released yesterday for Comic-Con, but the gameplay they showed here, for me, watching that out of context, I personally couldn't connect to it, and I think that was one of the harder things to be like, I really want to, and I know how Spider-Man plays. Like I said, I'm playing for my 9th time. I love these games. Like, I love this world, and I love what Insomniac has done here. There's a lot of bloat in the first one that, yeah, sure, you could cut it, but I wouldn't because I love getting through all of it, and I'll play it a million times more after this one even. So when I saw that, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, the wingsuit looks cool to me. I like the idea of Venom. I don't like Kraven as a character. Maybe Insomniac can convince me on him, but I have not liked Kraven in the comics or cartoons. There's just nothing about that character that interests me. So that was a little bit of like he's the main thing here. Interesting. I don't want to be down on this game because it is that thing of, I know once I get it, my whole world's gonna change and I'm gonna love this thing because there's nothing that Insomniac has ever made that I didn't love, and there's no Spider-Man that I haven't loved. But it was definitely like harder to get into the vibe of watching this because it was so out of context. Like, seeing Peter already getting into the symbiote and having that aggressive nature doesn't hit without the context of why he's there, what are the subtle changes they're making, how heavy are they sticking to that script of what the symbiote arc usually is in the black suit and what that usually means. I think the interesting fold of it is now having Miles, which I personally haven't experienced before with Miles and Venom. But yeah, I'm more hesitant on, like, okay, so far this isn't hitting with me, but I do attribute that to it just being like a massive chunk of a game completely out of context of what's happening. But then add on, I'm going to fold in, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the PlayStation conference, but I'm going to fold in the Comic-Con trailer that they released yesterday, which for me, Spider-Man is the friendly neighborhood guy who is just going around and helping those in need and lifting people up as best he can. And when Spider-Man gets into the Spider-Man No More, or like the harder stuff, like Superior Spider-Man, it loses me a bit because I'm more interested in Parker Luck or any of the Tom Holland stuff has really hit with me for the most part. And I loved Andrew Garfield. He's by far my favorite Spider-Man for the live action movies. So like that kind of, yeah, he's down on his luck, but man, he still is trying. He's still trying out there. When it gets into a grander scale like this feels, I'm like, ooh, it risks the problem I had with Arkham Knight, where it was so big and so dark in not only tonally, but like stylistically. And seeing the trailer yesterday, I was like, oh, this looks a lot darker tonally and stylistically from what I enjoy about. Specifically, I'll even use Miles Morales, which I think is by far their best game. It is incredibly tight, is so stylish. It moves in this way that makes Miles feel alive, where, yeah, Peter's swinging felt great, but I didn't feel Peter's personality when he swung, where I feel Miles' personality with every web that he shoots. Like, oh man, that is a great game to play, but it's also a great game to look at. And this one looks beautiful, so beautiful. Like, the character models are gorgeous. But it is like higher risk and higher stakes, and I'm starting to be like, oh man, okay. I don't like being sad playing games. That's my one escape. So that's thrown me off more than anything else. But I'm still, like, I have to believe in Insomniac, and I have to believe in this game because I know they've never failed me. So there's no reason to. But I am like, are we getting Peter dying? Is this what's happening? Are we getting to this point? Because I don't think I'm ready. I think Yuri Lowenthal has been an incredible Peter Parker. He is fucking spot on. But yeah, those were my takeaways from the conference, and then the trailer yesterday of it all of it's so out of context, and the way they're talking about it is like, you've seen nothing yet, and I'm like, okay. Okay. What I have seen, I'm afraid of, because I'm afraid of dramatic Spider-Man. But I mean, that was my problem with No Way Home, where it was like, oh, this is so depressing.
I think my problem was with the trailers. I've not seen the new one, but I just think these are showing way too much. Like, all I need is like 3 minutes max. Like 3 minutes, I need just show me a couple of villains, show me who's maybe in the game. If you don't want to spoil who the main villain is, whatever, just show me a couple of villains, show me a couple of fight scenes, show me him swinging through, maybe show me the wingsuit, for example. That's all I need. I don't need anything else. I don't need 25-minute gameplays, as you said, a chunk out of a game. Where is this chunk out of a game? I don't know where it is. Is this game 40 years long? You've took a 25-minute chunk for like the middle? Like, I don't know where this is from. It's out of context, as you said. The story, I've not seen the new version, but obviously yours just talking about it there. It's just like you're just showing too much. Just less is more in these situations, and I think with me, like, I'm already going in. I'm going in with like feeling. I mean, I know I just absolute like loved Star Wars game, but that's because I love Star Wars. It's the same with you with this game. But for me, I am so oversaturated with Marvel at this point that I'm just like, see, when I see that Marvel splash screen, I just audibly like sigh, and I'm like, oh, another Marvel thing. So I'm already going into this with my arms crossed. And I said in the miles, I want this game to be good. I want Insomniac to come out and it's got to be a 9 out of 10, if no better. I want this game to be amazing. Yeah. But it's the same way I said to Miles. I was like, I don't know how many times I can do this in New York and just with Spider-Man. Like, it needs to feel different. It needs to be different. I kind of wish, like you're talking about the story. I mean, we've all seen the Venom story. We've seen this Venom story before. We've read it in the comics. It's like, Insomniac make it different, and I hope they do. I hope they put twists in it. I hope they go, this is your Spider-Man. This isn't anybody else's Spider-Man. This is Insomniac Spider-Man. Right. This is the twist we make in the story, and that's what I hope they do. I hope they don't just keep going along and along with the same beats that we all know and we know is coming, and you're just waiting for that moment. And that's what I think makes it interesting, for the absolute saturation that we've got at this point.
Yeah, I to echo your point of less is more, I think that would have helped me because everything is out of context. Even the story trailer is bits and pieces cut out from like, look how dramatic this is. And like I said, I don't personally like super dramatic Spider-Man. I'm more of, hey, fun, lighthearted Spider-Man. That's just my vibe of him that I love. Or, man, he's having a hard time, but he's still pushing through. Like, I love the work-life balance that they had in the first one. That was so much of what I love. That's why I love that game so much, is because they understood Peter in a way that was that feeling that I had as a kid of, fuck, I feel so out of place. Like, I can't manage anything. Everything's going wrong. I have to focus in on something. And, like, he puts all of himself into Spider-Man and loses his connections, but you see him slowly gaining that back. And I loved that part of it. I think the tail end of it, right, that's where it gets really heavy. And I was in on that because I had so much of the great, like, lighter parts of Peter to begin with. I mean, even the opening where he's like late for work and jumps out, not work, but work in quotes as Spider-Man, where he like jumps out the window and that music kicks in and he's swinging and they're like, hold R2. And it's like, this is so good. I love this. And I think taking the trailer into account and then the gameplay all out of context. And that is such a big thing for me of like, ooh, okay. Yeah, interesting. I don't know I know what the tone of this game is, and I hope that's not the entirety of the tone of this game, because that's what's worrying me more than anything, is like a heavy, 20, 30 hour Spider-Man is not something I super want, because like even Miles had so much personality and fun moments, and then it did get heavy, but everything that they've presented has only been heavy. And I'm like, oh, okay, that interesting. I don't know where this is going. That's the only bit that worries me. Like, the gameplay is going to be incredible. From the gameplay points, to remove the story bits that they did show, him swinging through the city and then like kicking up that guy against the house. Like, oh, that's such a fucking cool. I can't wait to go around and just beat up thugs in new ways and creative ways and find new gadgets and. Not like, I don't know if this is going to be a thing, but if you could be Venom, like, fuck it, my head would explode. Like, I couldn't comprehend being able to play Venom. The last time I got to do that was, I think it was Spider-Man Unlimited, I think it was called, but it was like this cel-shaded game on PS2 that I loved, where you switched back and forth between Peter in Queens and Eddie Brock as Venom in New York. New York. And it was so good. It was such a cool idea. And I like the idea of, if you can be Venom, that'd be even better. Like, rampaging through the city, destroying things, and you are the villain is a cool idea. But yeah, when it comes down to like, we're going to fight Kraven. Unfortunately, I just don't like Kraven as a character. So that's a bad footing. And all of the trailers have been like high stakes, everyone's doomed kind of thing. I'm like, Okay. All right. I'm just bracing myself for that, because I think I have also put so much weight into how much I've wanted this game for so long. Like, it feels like it's been a century since I played the last one released. I'm currently playing it, so it's not that long since I played it. But
it does feel long. When was it? Was it 2018 or something like that?
2018.
It does feel like a long while. Do you know one thing? One thing I'm just going to ask you. Do you think we see Spider-Gwen in this, or Ghost Spider, or whatever you want to call her? I don't know what you want to call her. Do you think we see her in this?
I would love if it is a thing that they're setting up, in the idea that maybe the thing that you're talking about of like, put a twist on it. That was one of those moments in the first Spider-Man that I realized, oh man, he's going to be like, I already know who Otto is, but is he going to become Otto Octavius, like Doc Ock? Is that going to happen? And then when it did, I was like, oh shit, is the twist going to be like, you guys team up to fight the Sinister Six? And it's like, spoilers, no, he's just Otto Octavius. And I was like, yes, emotionally that hit with me on every level, because I love Spider-Man and I love that world and I know how those characters go, and those performances were phenomenal. But it was that thing of, it went exactly how I thought it was. The same way of like Miles, I go, he's going to lose his dad. And then when Jefferson dies, I'm like, okay, so Miles lost his dad. And then they're bringing in the symbiote, and per inevitability, right? You can't have Miles without Peter dying, and Peter's going to have to die. And I'm like, oh, please don't. But on the bright side of that, I am like, if they do they bring in Gwen to replace him? Because if they're setting up this mechanic of two Spider-Mans in this world and you are switching back, like they've already set the ground with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, right? They have those mechanics, and clearly they want to use them. So, we get a Spider-Man 3. Is it Miles or Gwen? Like, that would be awesome if you could introduce that. And whether or not it's Gwen from their universe or a multiverse Gwen situation, I hope so. And I really feel like they would. It would make sense too.
I could see them doing a introduced, like exactly what they've done. I could see them do a introduce Spider Gwen in this, and then maybe she helps out at the end at some point, and then they do that kind of exactly with Miles. It's the Spider Gwen. No DLC, whatever you want to call it, no mainline game, but that kind of half step kind of game with just her.
Phenomenal.
That's what I could see them. That's what I could see them doing, or maybe they'll do that with Venom. I don't know. Maybe that's their next ploy, but we'll just need to wait and see, I suppose.
Yeah, if they do that single game, like Spider Gwen is my favorite Spider-Man, so bring her in it, and or Spider Person, bring her in it, make her own game, do whatever you want. Just come on, give me Spider Gwen. I'm very excited. Also, Miles in this. I'm also just only gonna reference the Comic-Con trailer from yesterday, but like Miles and his dynamic with Peter has been so great, and I love how they've developed that. Where in the comics it was really good, and I think Spider-Verse is a perfect movie, the first one. And so I loved a lot of what they did with Miles and Peter B. Parker being the reluctant one. This is so much better to me in the idea of seeing Peter really help Miles grow, not only as Spider-Man, but as a person, and stepping in as that brother figure more than a father figure, of being there but not holding his hand through everything has been such a genuine thing. And every time I get to the point where where Jefferson has died and Miles is in the alleyway and there are thugs and Spider-Man drops down and he kind of rescues him, and he's like, you don't have to be bigger, you just have to be faster. And he starts kind of giving those pointers and being like, here, okay, hit me. And then Miles does it, and he's like, oh man, wow, you really got me. Like, I tear up and I get so emotional at that bit, because that is the purest form of Peter, of like, yeah, the world's crashing down, but if he could be there for somebody in any given moment, that's what he'll do, even at the cost of his own life. And seeing him in that moment, just having that like genuine back and forth with Miles was so good. And then when you see their connection in the beginning of Miles, where they're chasing Rhino through the street and they go into the mall and fucking Rhino is barreling towards this woman and her baby, and they save her. I'm like, I cry at that every single time as well, because maybe you don't see it, but if you turn the camera around, Peter has the baby and he's giving like a thumbs up to Miles, like, keep going. Like, oh my God, their dynamic is so good. And that's what makes me super excited that you get to play as both of them, which is also what makes me scared of losing Peter, because I want a whole game of those two just hanging out and being Spider-Men together and like saving the city. And that's where my biggest fear comes from, of like, Peter becomes aggressive when he gets the symbiote. Peter becomes angry and spiteful and bitter. And it's like, man, I don't want Miles to go through that, but I don't want Miles and Peter to go through that. But if they, like, I have to trust them ultimately. But yeah, what they've done with those two has been the best iteration I have ever seen of Miles and Peter.
Yep. I know. I've got that fear as well, because I think it's literally the first couple of seconds of the first trailer, it's like Peter and Miles sitting beside each other, or like on a lamppost or something, and they're talking about like somebody coming to get him, and he goes, well, he's like kind of got the symbiote, and he's like, well, I've got teeth too, and I'm like, oh fuck, here we go, like you're going down this dark path. And also, one last thing about this, see if they don't put the dance, the wee dance that they did in Spider-Man 3.
He has to do it.
He has to do it. He has to put this
a little
stupid
meme somewhere,
dance.
right?
Just a wee swirl or something like that, wee, you know, that kind of thing. They need to do it.
For sure. Like, that's the thing of that world felt so alive. Having the touches of Doctor Strange or the Wakanda embassy, like all of those things, and building out that world excites me, and what they could do here, especially knowing Wolverine exists, right? Like, that's exciting. They're making that game, and how do they build all of this? That's more of where I'm way hyped on. Oh, also, they show Venom, like the full-on final Venom stage in the Comic-Con trailer, and holy shit, he's the coolest version of Venom I have seen in years. He looks so fucking good. Like, that's where I was like, man, sure, all of my points I feel are valid to me of I don't want the dark path, but if we get to play as Venom and he looks like that, and like that happens, let me tell you what, I'm gonna shit myself, and I'm not gonna clean it up because I'm gonna just shit myself again. Like, that's what's gonna happen.
You know, that is maybe the way they're gonna go, because they're gonna have all this. They're gonna have to do all this groundwork for Spider-Man having all these symbiote powers. So maybe they just go, do you know what? You get to play as Venom at the end of it, because we've already like divulged into making these powers. So let's just go the rest of the way and do it.
Yeah, I like that's where I am. Like, oh, that could sell me, because if you are Venom, you are the villain. Like, that's super fucking cool. Or they do go down Asian Venom path, which is like also a cool idea, but it would be even cooler to kind of be the villain. Like, maybe Kraven is Red Herring.
Yep. Mr. Matt, what's your thoughts on Spider-Man 2?
I just kind of waited patiently in the wings and like,
Thank you.
interruptions or anything like that. Like, but I would say, I think just as a and I don't want it to take it to heart or anything like that, but I know everybody knows anything about the comics or anything like that. I don't know much about the comics, so I didn't know playing the first game that his dad was going to die. I didn't even know who Miles Morales was in the first game. I'm so green when it comes to the games. Like, I don't know that this fucking Venom thing and Peter dies. Like, you said it in the group chat, so I don't really give a fuck. Doesn't really bother me, but
that's not a thing. That, like I'm saying, that's what interests me, because Venom's there. That changes that whole arc. I don't know if he would die. That's what makes it more interesting.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't even know that he dies as a thing in any case. So it's just one of those things, like, I don't know that much, so it's different for me because I don't know all these things. Like, so like when it first opened and I seen I know he's only keen on the Kraven character, but I quite like the look of this guy, and I don't know, like, if it plays out, maybe he's a fucking waste of space and no, he's an empty character. But I like the different take on them. It's that kind of bounty hunter-esque, you know, jungle based kind of hunter kind of character. I just like the look of that. But I'm no anti-Venom though. I'm no anti-Venom whatsoever. So if I'm honest, after watching that trailer, the conference trailer, I won't watch the other one. I'll play this game, right? 100%. I'll play this game. But I am 100%. I'm like, after watching that trailer, I'm less interested in playing that game than before I watched the trailer. I'm just no. I don't know, it's just one of the things. Like, I think some of the cinematic points, like with the two of them, like when they had those like moments where they were coming together and stuff, was super, super cool. So I think we'll get some really big payoffs with that. Switching between the characters like that was really, really cool as well. It was a very, very nice touch. So that's the highlights. I'm into that, the ability to go there. I think I'll go more Miles than Peter, just because I just don't like the deep voice being infected with Venom thing. I just didn't like that. I don't like the attitude side of it. I just don't like very boastful people to start with anyway, so there's that aggressiveness there. It's just, and I vibed so much with Miles, that hip hop, cool kid, thing, aura that he gave out. I just really enjoyed that game compared to the first one. I'm so far removed from that first game now, because it's been so long since I played and platinumed it back in the day, that maybe I need a wee, obviously he's not the same, but maybe I need a wee refresher in Peter Parker, but I can't see myself playing any of them. I'll just wait and I'll play this game. I'll get this one released. Like I'm not like I'm just
Same, yeah.
I'm just less interested.
Can I ask you a question then? For being somebody that you're saying, you said yourself you were more green than Spider-Man. What do you feel about this Insomniac Spider-Man then? That they just kind of throw a lot of characters at you, like, and they're supposed to be like well established already? Because that was something that I kind of said. I think it was when I was playing Miles, we were talking about Spider-Man, Peter Parker, first one, 2018. I kind of felt like they threw a lot of the main characters at you, and they were like, "Here, you're supposed to know this person. You're supposed to know this person. You're supposed to know this person." And I always felt like, for a game, I feel like you kind of need to maybe start at the start with a lot of these people, because as you said, like, you don't really know a lot of them, but at the end they were just like, here's 6 main people and they're gonna all fight you, and you're like, for what?
I know. I think like just like Miles Morales, whatever. Like, I don't know. Did you know like that the uncle was somebody bad before he's even played it? I don't know who that character was. I didn't know. It's difficult to talk about it now with it, because I've not played the game like 6 times like Hoodie has, or anything like that. I don't even really remember much of the first game now, but I know like some of the characters, like if you playing the earlier games, and the sand fucking guy and the crocodile cunt, and with his fucking mad suit on and all that. Like, I know them. I know these people.
Butcher in this, though.
I know of the villains. I watched like back in the day the cartoons and stuff way back when. But in isolation, like when I'm playing the games, it's not like I'm like who the fuck are you? It's like, well, this is a bad guy. I don't really need to know much more than that. Like, I don't know. I didn't like the first game when you deal with Miles and you're dealing with the bad guys, and it's starting to introduce like you're picking up more than me, so maybe you're benefiting more from me, but I'm enjoying the game in isolation, so I don't need to know anything other than just I did Alexis. What I said, I didn't know his dad died whatsoever. So you're watching that, and he dies, and it's just it's a a big impact. I don't know who that boy was, Miles. I didn't know that eventually he was going to end up as a Spider-Man. Fucking had no fucking clue until it happened. So it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? To me, I'm like, oh my god, that's fucking really cool. And then everybody's like, that's fucking Miles. Like, what the fuck? How did you not see that coming? I'm like, oh, because I fucking didn't.
I don't think we've ever had this conversation. I don't think we've ever had this conversation. That's actually a great perspective of like, one, you're saying we're benefiting. I almost think we're losing, because you're getting that experience for the first time, and it is an untouched experience of like, okay, well, I know what's going to happen. The thing that we've just been complaining about of like, well, we know how this is going to go. It's like, oh shit, well, if I didn't know that. Also, sorry, I don't think that's going to go that way. But it is like, oh, well, I didn't know it was going to turn into Miles. I didn't know it was that. Like, oh shit, that would be cool.
I genuinely had no idea. I didn't know who Miles was until I don't know, it does, at the very end of the first game, that you find out, like, that he's and whatever the fuck. So I didn't know that. I just thought it was like, oh, that's quite that's a cool character. He's going to learn off of him. That's about as much as I knew, and that's about it. So I mean, again, I do know like some of the old villains for some of the earlier games, but I'm not a comic book guy, so I don't know all the different things. But the only consistent thing that I seem to know is that his uncle dies. You know what I mean? That's just like that's just this thing that keeps happening. Like, I'm not overly familiar with films, the different films. Like obviously Tom Holland's ones I've watched a few times, but I've seen the other ones, but I'm no like, I don't know them off by heart. Do you know what I mean? Like I would like to probably go back and watch them and take them in again, but I've no like I don't know them to the point where if somebody was to show up and I wouldn't know. I know the Green Goblin, but and a couple other ones, but I don't know like everybody. So I don't think I'm not missing it. I don't think.
That's another part that's interesting. You're gaining from the surprises or the revelations, but it is interesting to think then, oh, Peter's been doing this for a few years in the first one, so he doesn't need to introduce Shocker or Scorpion or any of them. And does that hurt more for somebody who is coming in on this kind of like blind to a lot of that stuff? Because they do expect you to know the basics of Spider-Man for those parts of it. So it is interesting kind of give and take of, well, for people who don't know Miles, you did not fucking see that coming. And then for people who know Spider-Man, we did, and we already know all the Scorpion stuff, but like you don't, or the Sinister Six, for instance, like you don't, but you don't have any attachment to these characters now because you don't have any of that like 20 plus year history with these characters. That's interesting.
It's funny because obviously Sean's like at that end, as he said, the green. I'm kind of mid, and you're obviously fucking super fan at this point. So I even see from his perspective, from Sean's perspective, he's saying it was quite good because he didn't really know anybody. But I felt a wee bit like when it came to the more obscure villains that I was a wee bit like, who's this?
Yeah.
Like, and then as I was feeling like, oh, they're supposed to have all this history, and I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
No, even if I don't know who you are, sometimes they don't even look like what I envisaged them or what I've seen in a cartoon or whatever else, Like, I think it's Scorpion. Scorpion looks like... Is it Scorpion? He looks nothing like...
He looks fucked up.
He doesn't look... I'm expecting Scorpion, big green suit, big bulking man. That's what I'm expecting, and he doesn't look like that. So there's a few characters and a wee bit like, who's that again?
I think a lot of it's personality-wise. Sorry, Hoodie, just to touch on that, like, because he's obviously he's talking about like what... I mean, individual personality, not in the game. I mean, me and your personality. Like, I don't need to know much more than what's of face value. I don't need to. I'm like, this guy. This guy looks like he wants to kill me. I'm going to try and kill him first. He's. I don't need to know like his origin. I don't really know. I mean, sometimes it can go too much, too far. Especially like you wouldn't want it ruining it for you guys to be like, oh, I fucking know who you are and I know where you came from, like, but at the same time, like, I'm not missing it by knowing what happened to him before that, before like what happened when he was starting. Like, okay, we've been doing this for a few years, so his familiar. I can't say that word, so I don't know why I keep trying to say it, but the fact that the two of them are so it keeps like my mind goes like, oh, by the way, you want to say that. And it just doesn't work. So the fact that the two of them are so familiar, you pick up on the fact that they've danced before and they've fought before.
Yeah.
That's all I need. That's all I need to know.
So here's a thought. I just thought, what if Miles Morales is actually the main character of this entire franchise? What if he is the main character?
I'm into that.
Because we're getting the end of you're just getting the end of Peter's story that obviously leads you into the start of Miles, and now it's Miles, obviously with that whatever you want to call it. It's no DLC, it was a standalone, but it was kind of a half step, it felt, even though it was probably the better game, I'd say. And now is this going to be like the actual? I know you play as both, but is it going to be like at some point at the end, Peter's going to be like away off because he's off his rocker, and you actually play the full end as Miles, and it's like Miles is actually the main character actually through this franchise. Actually,
I'd be incredible, and I also think it would play perfectly into a way of Miles saves the day. Peter realizes Miles doesn't need him anymore. Have it be this thing that they've already planted the seeds of. Peter is a teacher in this world, right? In Miles's game, Peter isn't in there because he's gone off to do humanitarian work. Maybe that's just where he goes with MJ, and they just move on, right? Like, what a cool idea to have this be. Oh, you thought this was about Peter. Well, you've already seen Peter. Here's us building this character and this attachment. I mean, I would think the majority of response that I've ever heard, I mean, from Ben to you to me to Mac, of Miles's game is the better game. And Miles is a character. Again, I love Yuri. I think he's doing a phenomenal job, but it's also that thing of, I know Peter in and out. I just know him. So there's nothing left to explore about Peter, where Miles, although I know a lot about him, I don't know this version of Miles. This version of Miles is very different from Spider-Verse, and Spider-Verse is very different, like, fuck it, miles away, pun intended, from the comic books. Where I'm like, I'm fully invested in this Miles Morales. So if you made him the main character, blow my brains out. Like, oh, shit, this is blow me away from this. This is so cool. What a great idea. Yeah, that would be
that would make sense how like the actual like the Miles game was actually, it was just the start, you know, like as I was saying about the Spider-Man game, like even if you felt lost or you didn't know the characters and then it was like, Sinister Six and this person, you're like, fucking hell, who are all these people? Whereas Miles was like, no, this is the beginning. And this is every character starting to come in, and this is the bad guy, and this is the bad guy. You know, there wasn't really any of this. This is a well-established person that you're supposed to know straight away, and you know there wasn't really any of that. Everybody was kind of explained.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing of what excites me about Miles is the idea that I don't know everything about Miles. Like when Finn is introduced, I don't know if Finn's in the comics, but Finn was a character that I didn't know. I knew the persona that they had, the Tinkerer, like that's an existing character, but that's usually like some club in a basement who makes toys for villains. And it's like, to have that play on who the Tinkerer was so cool. And again, played into like what I want out of it is what Mac has been getting out of it of, oh, I don't know what's coming. Like playing Miles, I didn't know what the fuck was coming, which also made that game so much better to me of like, I love this. I love what's going on. So I actually do hope that Miles becomes the face of Insomniac's Spider-Man going forward on, because he's crushing it. Also, the actor is, I don't know his name, sorry, but he's also freaking incredible as Miles.
He is.
So fucking good.
Well, that was, I hope everybody strapped themselves in for that, because and we knew to put that one at the end because we knew we had so much to talk about. I think that just goes to show how much we actually all love like these games so far, the Spider-Man games. But as I said, maybe me and Hoodie sounded a wee bit more negative than Sean did, but it just shows you how much we actually love this character and how much we actually want this game to be so good. And we all do. Every one of these games, we want them all to be 9s out of 10s, 10s out of 10s, but it's just not the way that the cookie crumbles sometimes. But for the future of gaming, I think it's looking bright so far for everybody. I think everybody's going to be eating well, and that's kind of been our highlights for the coming future for 23 and into 24 actually as well, which is exciting stuff. And I believe we ain't seen nothing yet. Dun. Still got that Red Dead Redemption remaster. Oh, yeah, boy.
That actually got me really excited, man. That got me excited.
Damn right, man. Damn right. I mean, it could have came last year when I predicted it last year, but anyway. Also, Spider-Man, I'm still holding out for this Miles Morales Jordan. See, even if they put the one that's in the Spider-Verse, that still counts, I think, because that's the same shoe and they still got to buy it. Sean's saying no, Hoodie will say aye, because Hoodie's a agreeable gentleman.
We have to look at whatever you said, word for word, and you said the game. You said the game.
I think I said whatever he wears. I said whatever he wears you can buy. I think that's what I said. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's a conversation for another day. So, Mr. Mac, say your goodbyes.
Yeah. Again, that was a good episode. I went and reordered this morning because I knew that this Spider-Man was going to be the biggest point, and we built up to it quite well. I think we, covered a lot of good games, and it's exciting. Sometimes it feels like we don't have that much coming, and then you kind of realise you actually have quite a lot to get through, and never mind look at what's coming. So I'm quite I'm quite keen. I'm as it like I've said to Gary, I'm enjoying my golf, so I ain't going to ditch it just for no reason, because when you're playing a game you're enjoying it, you have to just play it until you're fed up yet. It's just what it is. I'll play that until I'm fed up. But I know that I've got so many good games just sitting for me. Even games that I bought, last year, or games that I got gifted for me at Christmas, they're still there, and I'm wait my way through it. It just feels like you never can get caught up, but I'm sure I'll get there eventually. But hopefully I'll be able to talk more in the coming weeks. Maybe we'll try and sneak another. Well, we have to make another episode in August, before other holidays and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll get an episode in a couple of weeks' time and get some topics back up. It's been fun being the passenger for a wee change. Can I say, Gary did a fantastic job, obviously, and I did miss it. I missed the role. It's good being the driver. This has been a perfect episode for you to go through, because we have that list, and we're hitting it as we go. So but no, hats off to you. Good, great job, and I'll see you all later. Cheers.
Yeah, man, I think you did a great job hosting. Just shout out Gary. Shout out Gary in the comments. Let him know that he's just a good boy. Say good boy, Gary. Good boy, Gary. Whatever console you play on, I hope you find a game that you love, because games are fucking cool, man.
Goodbye, children.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Vault Dwellers Podcast. You can keep up with Gary Moore at Gary Moore's Art over on Instagram. Keep up with myself, Twitter, on Twitch at MrMac92, and you can't keep up with Hoodie at The Penny Marvels over on Instagram. A very special shout out to Al the Predator Tribesman for creating the intro and outro music. Thanks again for listening. Take care. Bye.